Hello! The OG team is back! Promise, I think you're muted, which is so...
Oh, it's perfect. It's nothing has changed, guys. I still don't know how to do this. Not a thing has changed.
Oh my god. Oh my god, I love it. Oh my god. Woohoo! We're back with Chewed Gum. It's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday. Promise. Now, anytime somebody recently in my life, for whatever reason, they were joking but also being rude, said "See you next Tuesday," and I just instantly took it as a like, "Oh, you're talking about our show.
You're talking about Chewed Gum."
It's not. I haven't been here in so long.
I know. I like the rebrand of "See you next Tuesday." That's good.
Me too. Why don't we have that for merch? Like, see you next Tuesday on Chewed Gum.
Duh! That's so crazy.
Give me 3 minutes back on this show, and I'm already branding new merch for us.
She has ideas. She's coming with merch plans.
I'm trying to make up for lost time, guys.
Okay. I love that plan. Well, today is Tuesday, February 3rd, and this is Chewed Gum, which is a show about rejecting purity culture, challenging misogyny, and the effects of religious trauma on women. You like that intro? Because somebody wrote that in a super chat, and it's awesome.
That's amazing. As my phone just was like loudly going off in the background because
I didn't even hear it. You're good. That's that good.
I was trying to pull up the chat so that I can like. I keep saying like, oh, I'm working on getting good at reading the chat. But now I've been doing like the line for over a year, so I should probably stop working on it and just do it.
It just takes. But
practice. That was a great intro.
It just takes practice.
Yeah.
So if you would like to call in and talk to us about any of these topics, you can call 720-619-2288, or you can use the web link that's in the description below if you're calling from outside of the US. I'm so happy you're back. This is so exciting. It's like, I don't know. Do you ever watch actually, no, we talked about this. You watch our old clips, right? From time to time?
I haven't. Okay, so I should ask you this. I hate watching myself on the show. Because it could be from like a week before, because I was also watching some of the Sunday show when I'm on with Matt. And even if it's the week before, I'm like, I am such a better person now. Like, I would be so much better at this call today than I was so it is so difficult for me, which we've talked about making some reaction videos together. And I think we should do that some of our first calls together of like, okay, what would you say now? What would you do different? But
totally.
But yes, I've been watching them and I've been like, I miss Alyssa so much. There are like no words. So
Yeah, me
that makes it
too.
bearable. I can handle the sound of my own voice when yours is immediately before and after it.
I feel the same, but I also like I watch these clips and I feel similarly about being like, oh God, that's so cringe. Like if I partially because I think I'm less reactive now for like a longer period of time. I'm able to like be cool, keep my cool for like longer than I could the first time. And I think it's just
Nice.
like I think I had like the opposite. I feel like so many people do these shows for so long that they get to a point where they hit a wall and they're like, I can't stand to hear this argument again. You guys are all fucking insane and they just like lose it. Where I had the opposite where I feel like I like chilled out a little bit. And my
That's
arguments
amazing.
are better. Like now I like look at my old arguments. I'm like, ugh, really? That's what I went with?
But that we were doing our best. We're always just doing our best. And
Yeah, we
I
were
feel like
learning.
I'm getting more impatient. Not impatient because whatever, but I understand why Matt is quick to hang up on calls. Like
Mm-hmm.
I get it. It is the same kind of arguments. I haven't been here in so long. I'm curious, what kind of calls have you been enjoying lately? What kind are we looking for tonight? I know there's been some of you that have been saying you wanted to call in and
Mm-hmm.
debate with us about things like virginity and what was one of the other things like body count and all of that, which is what you and I have talked about
Oh,
before on here, abortion, things like that.
yeah.
What kind of calls are you into these days? And what have you not been getting that you'd like to get more of?
I mean, we haven't really gotten people that argue so much of the body count stuff in a while. I feel like people are arguing some stuff about like how the Bible is good for women and how, you know, I don't know. What else have we been talking about, guys? We had, well, you know about Andrew from New Jersey. Do you know about this
I
gem?
I need you to tell me more because I have everybody's been talking about Andrew from New Jersey. When I do the Sunday show, everyone's like, "I won't promise to talk to Andrew." And I'm like, "Who is Andrew?" You and
Yeah,
Jimmy have talked about him some on the podcast, I think, but what is
probably,
the
yeah.
what kind of calls were those?
So he is banned from the line now
Oh,
because
nice.
of yeah, some comments that he made on a different show, maybe TACIS, that were really bad. And he was always like misogynistic, homophobic, transphobic, like all of the things. But for some of it, I think I was able to I was able to have conversations with him where like he would sit and listen at least kind of like he wasn't arguing back and forth in a way where like it felt like it was worthless. It felt like we made little bits of progress, but he would call about like he would definitely call about body count. He would definitely call about like staying a virgin. He also was an incel and but he called himself an incel at 19. I was like, "What are you talking about?" So he had a lot of
This is
like
interesting.
manosphere, alt-right type things,
Yeah,
but he also was a young black man living in New Jersey. So it was confusing that he had all these like very alt-right opinions. It
that's the
was
scary
really
thing
weird.
about the internet is it's just I feel like it's really messing with people in the worst ways
Yeah.
possible. Well, those would be some interesting calls to take. I have been taking a lot of, obviously, on the Sunday show, we talk a lot about like, do you believe in a God and why? None
Mm.
of those people, like, it's the callers have gotten worse, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
over the last
Mm-hmm.
years because they're not able to answer it. So I would be fine to take a call like that tonight if somebody actually wants to like answer that.
Yeah.
However, if it's gonna be like it's been on Sunday shows where they're just not answering anything, I will probably just go ahead and let you guys know now. I will pass the call on to Alyssa or say let's just move on
Mhm.
because there are more
Yeah.
interesting
Well,
calls we can take. I would love for somebody to call and tell us like why it matters how many people you've slept with or not. That would be
yeah.
that would be
Yeah.
cool.
Well, for people who are calling in and like not answering questions like that, it's sort of like at some point it feels like, well, okay, now you're just preaching, and I don't really need you to do that here, so you can go.
Yeah. Yeah, that too. That
Yeah.
too.
Um,
We're
but
getting some calls in. Wait, now I'm like forgetting how to, not that I ever really knew how to do this show, but if it says, okay, screening room, that means it's not ready yet. Is that correct?
right, right. Well,
Okay, then
actually, no,
we
screening room we can take. Screening room we
can
can
Nope,
take
take,
don't
those.
take them.
right?
Okay.
She's not
No,
done.
Don't
don't.
take them?
Don't.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, okay,
We
okay.
You're
won't.
looking
Sorry.
for host
You
Q, host Q.
okay. Okay, the fact that both of us have done the show for so long, but usually it's like there's like the screening room and then it's host queue. So I'm always like, oh, the one that's right under host room is the one that we can take, and that box is not there right now. So,
I think it's ready now because now it says host queue. Look at us. Look at us.
wow, you guys, we know how to do our jobs. Before we take this call really quick, I just want to say, we will take super chats of $5 or more, and we'll read them at the end of the show. So if you want to support this show and everyone at the
Yes.
line, please make sure to send us a super chat of $5 or more before the end of the show. And please like the video so that it pushes us out into the algorithm.
Share it. Go
Um,
post it on Threads or if you're still on Twitter, post it
God,
to the
if
places.
get off Twitter. If anything, get off Twitter.
Threads
Jeez.
is also intense.
It's all a cesspool, actually. But I
Makes
do
me mad.
enjoy Elon Musk's daughter, Vivian, on Threads,
Me too.
like confirming things about her dad.
I'm taking a selfie right now so I can share this. And I'm going to tag you in it because it looks insane because my hair, these little
Oh,
things are
mm,
just like phew, in the picture. Anyways,
in
sorry,
the
just had to share that.
picture.
Yes.
Okay.
But you said she's confirming all the stuff about
The files,
you
like
know
where
what?
they were.
I would love a call from somebody to
Oh,
defend if there is
oh,
somebody out there that wants to tell us that uh the Epstein files don't matter and they're not a big deal. That would
yes.
be interesting.
Oh, I would love that call. I would love that call.
Me too. Me too.
Okay.
Me too. Okay, let
Shall
me
we take?
share this. Yes, you want
Yeah,
to
yeah.
answer that while I share the link and try to get more callers in.
Yeah, girl. Okay. I'm gonna pull in Rochelle, who is an atheist. Hi,
You know
Rochelle.
what? Okay, how you doing? I'm so glad to
Good. How are
finally
you?
get in because before I used to try to get into Matt, you know,
Yeah.
but I haven't had. So I'm glad there's some ladies. I'm glad I get a chance to kind of talk with
Yay.
y'all.
Us
How are you
Okay,
too.
doing?
okay. So y'all were talking about. I'm assuming you're talking about the purity of a woman concerning the Bible or religion. So y'all atheists, so you don't really believe in the Bible, correct? In its literal
Correct.
form. Correct? Okay.
Well,
So,
if by
okay.
believing in the Bible, like the supernatural claims of the Bible, I don't think that we have evidence that any of those things happened. Do I think some of the places in the Bible exist? Yes. Do I think the Bible sometimes there's like a poem here or a story here or a parable there or like a saying here that's deep that's fine and I could agree with? Sure. There's also some terrible things. So I have a very like nuanced, but in general, yes, I'm not a Christian. I'm not a theist. So that's
Okay.
my answer.
So, okay, here's my take on the whole thing. First of all, I've always believed that you are God and you are the devil by the actions that that you do. Whatever action, if you do badly actions, then you are portraying devilish stuff. If you are doing good, then you are portraying godly things. But here's my take on it, right? You're saying you're saying you don't believe in anything in the Bible. Okay. So do you believe in the examples of the Bible that pertain to our way of living?
Which
Like, okay,
ones?
I'll give you an example. Okay.
Yeah, because they're
Okay.
all over the place and they contradict each
Right.
other and they change. So it's like
Hmm.
it really depends. Also, most of them are irrelevant to today because they don't like they're about things like that don't pertain to your modern individual. So
Okay,
yeah.
but you're
Yeah,
still
I
talking
need
in
you
its
to
literal
I
form.
need you to ask me about a specific circumstance for me to know like do I agree with
Okay.
this thing or not?
Okay. Okay, so I'll just give you an example. Jesus. Let's just go to Jesus. Okay, and we know that he was a person supposedly, even though I look at it this way, I'm just going to say it a way where you can understand. I myself try to decipher the Bible in its literal, not in its literal form, but in its symbolic form, so it can make sense to me. Okay, because it's a reason why it was written. Okay, so Jesus. Okay, for instance, Peter denied him. I'm just going to give you little examples. Peter denied him. You can see where Jesus wasn't liked because he was a person that spoke up for justice, equality, unity, or whatever it was that he was doing, and the ones who didn't want a little bit like Malcolm X or somebody who had a voice, who spoke to a lot of people. We know food represents knowledge. Jesus had spoke to five people that turned into, he fed five people that turned into a whole bunch of people. Like he fed a whole bunch of people, but he was actually feeding them with knowledge. Food is just a representation of knowledge. And then at the end, when they finally captured him, Peter denied him. So you've been in situations where you may not have, but me at my age, I've been in the situations where I was getting my behind kicked for something, okay, and my girlfriend was around the corner running from the fight, talking about I don't know her. I'm just giving you a small example on how the Bible can portray some of the things that we actually go through in life, like Jonah being caught in the big fish.
Yeah,
He got
I
himself
understand what
into
you're
something he
saying.
couldn't get himself out of. I'm just saying.
Right, but
I hope you
here's my
understand
thing
where
of,
I'm going with this.
yeah, but so just to clarify a little bit more about what I think about
Mhm.
that, you're
Mhm.
describing some, like, it sounds like you're the type of person, like you said, who look at the Bible as stories, and you subjectively, like, pick and choose different things here and there that you think maybe apply to your life, or seem relevant to you in some way, or are helpful or whatever. I can do that with anything. Like when I watch Lord of the Rings, or when I watch Legally
I I
Blonde,
I
or when
agree.
I read
I agree.
anything, I think stories are a fun way to communicate things, but um, like the what
But
you're
wait a
already
minute though, you have
describing
to
is
explain to me about the Lord of the
what
Ring thing, but
what
you know.
what you're already describing to me is that you're projecting a lot of stuff that is, meaningful to you, where some of the stories you're talking about, that is not my takeaway from that story. From what I learned in my studies about the Bible, that's
Mhm.
not what was happening there. So in order to do what you're doing, you're having to do a lot of mental gymnastics and ignore a lot of context, or add things in that aren't necessarily there. And that's cool. I think if that's fun for you to do, that's great. Um, but I'm curious,
Mhm.
what is
It is
your,
kind of fun.
I'm curious if there was like a question you had for us about all of this.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I'm reading the messages and all. I guess if a person don't understand me and understand my walk with all this, then they wouldn't understand. It wouldn't make sense to them. They would probably have to come to one of my shows to see why it made a lot of sense. But I would say that I am an atheist because I don't believe in a man walking in the sky. But I do believe that um, we have the attributes of the devilish ways and of the godly ways. And we also
Wait,
are
but
creators of
I'm
life. So, I mean, I'm going
I
to get
have a
that out too.
question.
And,
Yeah, I've
and,
got a question for you. What do you
okay, so the
mean?
question,
No,
say it
I
again.
have a question for you. So
Hmm.
when you keep saying that, like, you see our good actions as godly and our bad ones as devilish, according to whose standards? Like what would be
Well, it's
what would
according
be a
to the
godly action,
consequences that you,
and what would be a
wait a
devilish
minute.
action?
You asked me a question, I'm going to answer it. It's according to the consequences you get from the action that you do. And it's by standards of just humanity. If I do something bad, the consequences is going to not be good. It's going to be negative. If I do something good, because I mean, I kind of heard Matt go through all that, and it has nothing to do with, I don't know if I'm looking at you. I can't look at you and talk because when I'm looking, it seems like you're talking, and I don't want to be talking over top of you. But it's from the consequences that you get from the actions that you give out. So it has nothing. Nobody has to tell you, or you don't have to read it. It's an actual fact because it's what you do in life.
So
That's
so wait,
just what it's going to end up being.
if I stopped to help somebody that ran out of gas on my way to work, and it's a
Mhm.
mom with kids, and she's just like having the worst day ever, and I stop and help real quick, and I happen to then hit really bad traffic that I usually don't, and now I'm late to work, and then I get fired. So that's a negative consequence to what I think is a positive action. So now
Mhm.
how do I interpret that? Was
And
that
that's
me
just life.
behaving in a
Okay,
godly
but it's
way or
just
in
life
a
because
devilish
see,
way?
whatever this world gives us back from the actions that we do, okay? I look at life like this. You're a part of the all and a part and you're a part of the all and the all is a part of you. So when you do things and the consequence, if you got fired because you stopped to give somebody gas or whatever the situation may be, then I guess in a way that kind of we live in a balanced world. I guess I don't know how I would look at that. I know you judge by your intentions, so and I really do feel like that. I really feel like you're really judged by your intentions. If your intentions was not to hurt somebody, was not to do anything malicious or whatever the situation may be, somehow in the universe it might seem like you got something bad from doing that, but I don't know. I don't know how I would look at that. And it's not from a biblical stance, it's just from actions. I could even tell you some things that happened to me and that would still, and no good came from it. No good came from a good action that I
Right.
did. But
That's why I
eventually,
appreciate
eventually
I
it'll be okay. It'll be okay.
I appreciate that
You know,
you look at things and you found a way that helps you categorize them. Like in your head, if something you perceive as good, you think it, you then use the word godly. For me, I can just use the word good, and I guess you perceive if something's negative, then it's like devilish. I don't find a need for those words. I can appreciate that you have them,
hmm
but I would love to hear, like, is there a main question that you
Well, of
wanted to
course,
get to
because
or
I
anything
came
like that?
from the background of the devil. I mean, as a child, you grow up knowing about the devil and God. So that's the only reason why I use those terms. I could do the same thing that you did too, and just say good and bad. But when you're in the midst of teaching, or you're in the midst of talking to people that come from Christianity, Islam, or whatever, you use those terms because that's what they understand. I mean, and I'm sorry if I offended anybody by using the great Malcolm X in the same text as Jesus. Okay, I can explain all that, but I don't think we got time for all why I use that particular person. Okay. Um. All right. So the question that I was going to ask you. Um. So you feel as though the Bible is not good for women, or I was trying to understand that the title of it is purity. I was just trying to understand what you were talking about in the title. Can
Atheist
you
I
make
don't.
me
women
understand
versus
it?
so the title we have today is Atheist Women versus Purity Culture. So purity culture
So it.
is
Mhm.
so purity culture is tied very closely to religion. So atheist folks are not so we're not in favor of purity culture. It feels like as a whole. I don't want to speak for everyone, but because purity culture is really represented by religious people, they are very closely related, even though it's not really exactly the same.
So okay, being as though I'm way older than y'all, I'm not gonna tell you how old I am. Okay, in my lifetime, I'm older than y'all, but in my lifetime, I have learned that. So what you're saying is atheist culture is saying that you shouldn't be a virgin, or you're saying that people are
No.
virgins. I'm trying to understand
No,
that,
so
like what you're saying.
purity culture is it's especially prominent in evangelical Christian culture, where it's this
Mhm.
teaching that your value is pretty much directly attached to your how many people you've slept with, if have sex before marriage, if you dress modestly, if there's so many parts of it, but in general, it's about distancing yourself from your sexuality. And it takes something very natural, normal, and healthy, which is like personal sexuality and your expression of that when there are consenting adults, or like your own personal pleasure. And it says that that's evil and wrong unless it's in this one circumstance with the person that you're married to. And even
I
then,
agree with
sometimes there's
that.
all these stipulations.
I
So
agree with that,
our stance
and
is not even
I
that
agree
like
with that.
atheists are against it. Our stance is just that like us as women, we think that that is wrong to oppress people and to
It
say
is.
that they can't express their sexuality in healthy ways.
Mm. Okay, I'm gonna tell you why I agree with you should stay. Um, you should stay a virgin until you're married, and you actually because okay. Oh God, how can I make this make some sense? How can I make this make some sense? Okay, first of all, there's a lot of diseases and things going on out here today. Okay, that's number one. Hopefully, you could be with that one person, have all your kids by that one person, and that person is fair to you, and you fair to that. I mean, like you and that person not cheating on each other, and y'all stay together, and it's just you and them. I don't think this really has anything to do with religion. I think religion is another example of explaining it. Okay, but why you should be. But for me, okay, I wish I would have had my children all by one man and would have been just one man that I had been with in my life. Okay, I do. From the experiences, I don't feel like I feel like a woman. She's so sacred and she's so just so everything that she shouldn't be giving herself to just anybody. If that's what you mean, if that's what you're saying, I feel as though that yes, you should just be with just one person. I don't think you should be giving it out. I mean, I just don't. And that's only
So
because of my experiences in life as to why, if that's what you're saying, if that's what you're saying, I would
yeah, I
want that
mean,
for all women. And
so
rather
part
it
of
was in a
it,
book or not.
hmm part of it is we could solve a lot of these problems with having comprehensive, medically accurate sex education in every single school. We would lower the rate of teen pregnancies. We would lower the rate of STIs, and STIs are preventable,
Mm-hmm.
and pregnancy is preventable. And so, if these services were given to young adults, and they were given to young adults without um, any sort of shame or judgment attached to them, people would get tested more often. So, the thing that's interesting is if we take a goal-oriented approach and we look at what purity culture does, like the idea that you should wait until you're married to have sex, if everyone feels that way, so much so that like you go to your urgent care or whatever to get tested for an STI, and the person who's doing that testing for you is clearly judgmental because they can see you don't have a wedding ring, or they can see on your file that you're not married, then all of a sudden then you don't want to get tested anymore. That judgment goes a really long way in preventing people from having the education that they should have, taking care of themselves the way that they should, etc. And it's the same thing with pregnancy too. Like I remember being 16 and wanting to get on birth control because I was so scared of getting pregnant, and that was the right that was the right choice. Like it was the right choice to go to have some sort of contraceptive protection so that I didn't get pregnant, but having to justify that to a doctor at 16 was really uncomfortable because I knew there was so much judgment coming my way. Where if the conversation was, "Hey, I want to talk about birth control options," and they were like, "Okay, great. Let's see like what options we have." Then we would have the conversation of like, "Okay, great. Now I am a young adult. I have." Or you're a teenager at 16. I know how to protect myself from STIs. I know how to protect myself from pregnancy. Um, and now you can have sex freely if you want to. So
But why
the
though? Why? 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 I don't. I
because
mean, I'm just saying.
because
No, I'm
you
saying,
because
why
you
would you
want
want to have sex like that? Like, why would you want to? That means that if you okay, say you was with James,
mhm.
right? Now you want to have sex with Tom. Now you want to have sex with Terry. Now you want to have sex with Jim. Now you want to have sex with Bob. I mean, come on. I mean,
But
why can't you just the way would
what
maybe
difference
I'm
does it
coming from the
make?
old school. I could be coming from the old school or
Yeah.
whatever.
Well,
But I
cuz
know when I messed up. I messed up. I was just like you at that age. You know what I'm
mhm.
saying? I was just like you, young, pretty, popular. You know what I'm saying? And I ended up, messing up because we know the condom can break. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Somebody trying to call my phone. You know the condoms can
Um
break if you use a condom. Not all the time, and that don't stop you from having an STD either. 'Cause,
Can
you
I
know what I'm
ask?
saying? You could get other types of STDs. I'm just saying, and I ended up having a baby at a young age. But if I would have listened to my parents, and it's always something that's tapping you on your shoulder. I'll give you that's as just a little example of something. Not really actually
But
tapping you on your
but
shoulder, but in your consciousness saying, don't do it.
But it
You know what
doesn't,
I'm saying?
unfortunately, I understand where the perspective you're coming from, and I can tell you that a lot of what you're sharing is a lot of like
Hmm.
deeply programmed purity culture because in reality, it shouldn't
I'm fine with
it
that.
shouldn't
Hmm.
it shouldn't act and like you're welcome to do whatever you want. Where
Yeah,
we
no,
have
I'm saying, and you too. I'm not putting you down or nothing. I'm just saying the
well,
results from it.
but what's interesting is when you say you're not trying to put anyone down, but when you're saying, well, now you're with James and now you're with Tom, and why do you need to do that? And it's like
Not you.
that
No,
is
I'm
a
not putting. I'm
shameful.
not putting
No,
nobody down. I'm just telling you what can happen.
I know, but when it's interesting because while I understand that you're coming from an older mindset and you're also open to like I think I just come from a different whatever, like a different time where maybe the
No, just
standards
in
were different
general.
or your environment are different. It actually there's no moral or ethical value to sex. Your biology doesn't change, nothing gets loose. There's no like the hymen breaking is a myth. Like none of that is real. And so if we can teach people to have healthy sex and also to have a perspective on it where they don't feel shamed for having sex with as many people as they want to because there is no reason. Like they're genuinely, and I'm a certified sex educator, this is my job. There is no reason to feel shame for having sex with as many people as you want to because it's fun. As long as it's safe, you're getting tested, you're using protection,
Wow.
there is no reason why you
It's not a
shouldn't be able
reason
to have
until somebody
sex.
start calling you a slut or a whore or a guy some
Yeah,
girl.
but then
I'm
you're
not telling
making
all those
that's
boys he
their
choices.
screwed you,
problem.
But then
they
you're
screwed
making
you, all that.
choices.
Too much.
But then you're making choices because other people are going to judge you, and that's their problem. Like that is
That's
their
their
purity culture
problem,
program.
but it becomes
Yeah,
your
that's their
problem,
purity culture
but their
programming.
problem becomes your problem. And I'm not saying, listen, I'm not putting myself above anybody. As I told you, I had a child at 16. I'm not putting myself above you. I'm just saying what can happen from you doing those actions that you think shouldn't have no repercussions. It does.
Well, but here's the other thing too, Rochelle. There are the standards for things like calling someone a slut, calling someone a whore, calling someone any of those names. There For me, what that could mean to me is probably going to be really different to you. And it's probably going to be really different for these other random people that for some reason have an opinion about your sex life. Who the hell are they? Fuck them, right? But but everyone's opinion on what that is going to be
It's
different.
easier said than done.
So why, of course, more way easier said than done.
I
And the reason why we
Yeah, I
have
mean, I
this
don't think you're the type of
conversation,
person that's like that, even though you're saying
you have no idea how many people I've had sex with,
Right.
Miss Girl.
You don't know what
I'm
either
just
of us have
saying,
done,
I'm looking
and
at you.
that's
I'm
the
like, you're so
problem.
pretty. But
That
I mean,
But Rochelle,
right?
you're
Your business should
perpetuating
be
the
your business.
issue.
If it
Yeah, and
was
you're
a thing where
perpetuating
people
the
could keep
issue
their
by
mouth
saying
shut,
what.
if it
So
was a thing where people could keep their mouth shut, not grow feelings, because what if you get into a relationship with somebody, right? Well, not a relationship, or you have sex with somebody, right? And they like you, right? And then you get in, and then you messing with, you tell the person, well, it ain't really like that. Sometimes people don't want to hear that, but it ain't really like that. We just sexually, it's just a sex thing. So don't start growing no feelings, but the person still grows feelings. You see what I'm saying? And it just seems like, okay, how am I saying this without me sounding like I'm rambling and
so
like I haven't
well,
experienced stuff before, and
I'll
it's
tell
just
you
that.
based
Go
on
ahead, I'm
that
sorry.
example. I'll tell you based on that example of casual sex for one is not casual sex for the other person. Part of that could also come from this purity culture thing where we tell women that sex is this huge thing. You have to save it until you're married, which by the way, for what it's worth, that doesn't work. Like places that teach
I did
abstinence,
that. It was awful. I
yeah,
regret that. I don't regret
Mhm.
some fun flings that I've had. I absolutely regret uh, my first husband and that sexual relationship. So just
Yeah,
confirming what Alyssa's
you might
saying.
you might be in a situation where if you're being told to wait until marriage, you get married at a very young age to a person who's not an appropriate fit for you because you want to get to this like exciting next chapter of your life when that's not necessary. Like I had the conversation with a friend of mine this week who
Mhm.
is she's pretty religious, and she's had this conversation with me like I'm very selective about the people that I sleep with. So she's only had sex with two
Mhm.
people. She's 29, and both of the people that she slept with, one of them was in a 6-year relationship, and the other one, I
Mhm.
can't, was a couple of years as well. So and these are people that, in her opinion, were mindful choices. Both of them traumatized her, both of them. And like, so you kind of
It
have
ain't
to,
worth
you
it
have
anyway.
to take a chance on you don't
Yeah,
really
you can
know
take a chance.
100% what everyone is going to do. So the best thing that you can do is give yourself a very neutral, loving approach to this thing that is perfectly human and can be done completely safely. And the reason why we have these conversations, by the way, is because there are going to be people that will, call you a slut and call you a whore and whatever, when in reality those words don't mean anything. Like there's no number that is
It don't. They
assigned
you
to
can
those
say they don't
words.
mean nothing until it's actually happening.
I
I'm
get
not.
called a whore and a
Listen,
slut
I'm just
every
saying
day.
from my
I get
experience.
called those
Only
things.
time.
I get called those things every single day on the internet. These are people who have no idea how many people I've had sex
Yeah,
with.
I
But
know.
because I
I
talk
know.
about,
This internet is horrible. I can even see the things that's going up in
yeah,
the chat, and you know what? And I don't care about it because I know why I'm saying what I'm saying just from experiences. That's all. I could.
yeah.
It's just
I would
you
I
could say
would
whatever.
I would challenge you to think, because I think that like that you're willing
I'm only
to,
talking about experiences, and it's
yeah,
just a worldly thing. You know what I'm saying? It's a worldly thing. Like what you're saying might be okay. I'm not saying it's not. It wouldn't be okay, but the way that you can't think for other people, you can only think for yourself. And these things might be
totally.
okay for you, but
But if I'm
but the
gonna get
other
called
person
a
that you
whore
might
and
be
a
dealing with, the other person
But if
that you
I'm gonna
might be
get a
having
whore, if
sex
I'm gonna
with,
be called a whore and a slut on the internet, even though these people have no idea how many people I've had sex with, they have no idea,
right.
like if it's been a
Right.
lot
But
or
just
little or
because
whatever, and
you're
I
talking
still get
about
called
this,
names.
but just because you're
Right.
talking about this subject and you're saying it should be a freely thing to do and nobody should be in your business and all that, girl, I'm telling you, you can go from just saying a small thing for tell these hellions in the chat will take it and run with it. And you might just have one man that you're dealing with. But you're saying that a person should be free to have sex without being
Mhm.
married, to not be pushed, right? To have to be married to have sex. And in a sense, I agree with you. But I don't agree with you having not you per se. I don't want to make it seem like I'm talking about you because I'm telling you, these people they take things and they run with it. The thing is, they can perceive it and take it that way. I know that's right, girl. But I'm just saying, these people and when you say certain things, they take it and they run with it and say all kinds of stuff.
Mhm.
That's all good. I'm not talking about you yourself. I'm talking about the other person. The other person could be like, man, she a hoe. Or man, she this man. And just cause a whole bunch of. We as women have to be very careful with what we do and what we say.
But
And we
do
may say
you?
that we don't care nothing about what other people say, but it ain't just us
But then,
listening to it.
but
It's
then
our
we're, but
mom,
then
our
we're living our
fathers,
whole
our
lives.
sisters, our.
We're living our whole lives because we might be talked shit about, and honestly, we'll be talked shit about no matter what.
But
Like I'm a perfect
right, but
example.
it just don't get to
I'm
you.
gonna
Let
get
me let
called
me
those
give you an
things
example.
no matter
I'm
what.
gonna give you
Hey,
And
a small
Rochelle,
example. A
Rochelle,
small
Rochelle,
example. You can say
I'm gonna
one
pause
thing
you real quick.
online.
I'm gonna just mute you real quick. I want to wrap this call up just because we have a bunch more to get to and we have a limited time tonight. I appreciate the conversation, and I think what Alyssa is saying is really helpful, and I hope that you'll go back and listen to the call. But um, I I think what you're describing here is exactly why Alyssa and I do what we do and why we talk about what we talk about, because it is not fair how you have been treated. It is not fair how you have been made to feel. You shouldn't have to deal with that. You're right. And it that people shame others to make them feel how you're feeling right now, which is that, oh, I have to shrink myself. I have to be less of myself because I have to meet these standards that you've set and you're projecting onto me. And that isn't fair and it's not right. And you don't have to be an activist because people do that to you. We're not saying that. I think that you should get to sit back and be like, this sucks. I hated how it felt. It wasn't fair. I shouldn't have been treated that way. But when you call in to defend those kinds of things and to say, well, not you guys, but if somebody's out there sleeping with whoever they want, they shouldn't because it's going to cause them repercussions, that's not a good message. If we shrink ourselves back as women every time society tells us that something we're doing is should be perceived as shameful when it's not, then we're never going to get anywhere. Like
We'll be living in the
have,
Handmaid's Tale soon.
yeah, we wouldn't have the right to vote if we did that. Like that, if there weren't women always stepping up saying, no, that's not okay, and we can handle the criticism that's going to come with it. We can handle the fight. Like that shouldn't be. You don't have to be one that's saying, I want to be in the fight too. I think that's totally fair. I get it. If you're like, look, I do care what other people think, and I don't want to deal with it, and I don't want to hear it, that's fine. I still want to be here fighting for your ability to not have to feel that way, because that's not right. You shouldn't feel ashamed for any part of your past. That's not who you are today anyways. So, and you shouldn't feel shame for whatever decisions you want to go make tomorrow. So that's why Alyssa and I do what we do. I think we probably agree a lot, like as you've said. But I'll see if Alyssa wants to add anything, and then if you want to add anything before we move on to our next caller. I just see that we've got a bunch, and I'm so excited that we got to talk to you, and that also we have these other ones, and I want to get to them all before.
Yeah,
before the
Rochelle, I
showings.
would. I'd love if you would call back too when we have a hard stop today. So, but I would love if you would call back too if you want to talk about this again sometime. But in between now and the next time we do get to talk to you, I would challenge you to really consider why you feel the way that you do. Is it because you're worried about the criticism of other people? And why does the opinion of other people even matter so much? You know, I understand that like in communities you can be labeled as one thing or another, but like that can happen regardless of the actions you take or not. Like there are girls who were sexually assaulted who then get called a whore and a slut and whatever. It's like that's not right either. So, you know, we can't, like Parma said, we can't let this be the thing that that changes the way that we make choices. So that's why we have these conversations. And I would challenge you to really think about like what informs your opinion on this? Is it like old programming? Is it you really feel this way for like a specific reason? There's more there that I feel like you could dig into. So yeah.
I don't know if I'm on mute or what.
You're not. You're here. You're here.
No, I'm just saying sometimes things don't just affect you. They affect your other family members. They affect your kids. They affect by things that other people do to you, even if you didn't mean any harm. Even what you saying, all the things that you're saying could be all right, because it's not just you standing in this world by yourself. So other people have been trick-minded as well, you know. So even though you may think it's okay to be free, you know what I'm saying, but the outcome of some things, I'm not saying all the time that happens, because even though I had a child at a younger age, nobody was calling me a whore, a slut, or nothing like that. They might have been saying, wow, she got a baby at a young age, or whatever the situation may be, but nobody was calling me a slut or a whore or whatever. I'm just hypothetically thinking on things that possibly could happen by you just being so free. Not you, I'm just saying anybody just being so free with it. What can happen, it don't just affect you. I could say one thing online, one thing, and somebody could clip it up. Somebody could take it somewhere and make it out of something that's big. I've actually literally had to send cease and desist letters to people online for trying to come at me about some stuff or whatever, because I don't believe that. I mean, and y'all could do this as a subject too. Who is the leader in the home or some stuff like that? I don't believe in that kind of stuff. There's no leaders. Okay, but I've been through that too. But what I'm trying to say is you could take one thing and it can affect a whole bunch of stuff. That's why I find it negative.
We don't disagree that actions impact other people, but there is a certain point where other people are responsible for how they process. Like if I have a family member that wants to be upset because I had a boyfriend and then we broke up and now I have a husband, like that's their problem. Now, if I mistreated my family member, then that's like a different topic. So we don't disagree there. We understand people's actions, but there are personal things that just it can't be somebody else's problem, and it is a problem if they make it theirs, and that's why we do what we do. But we are going to move on to our next caller. Thanks so much for calling in, and like
Okay,
Alyssa
thank
said,
you.
feel free to call
Thank
back.
you so much. This
Have a
Thanks,
was
great night.
Rochelle.
nice. Thank you.
Bye.
I'll call in
Bye-bye.
again.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds
Okay.
good.
Bye.
We've
That
got
was an
all these
eventful first
callers.
call.
Yeah.
We have a bunch. We have a bunch more. It also like I didn't realize it was 30 minutes.
Do you have
Before
a
we get to
favorite?
yeah, I
I
think
just smudged my nail polish, and I heard that if you like
oh
lick
no.
it, it will smooth
Yeah,
it
yeah.
out.
It'll
It
go
did not
back.
work. It didn't work, and now
Shit.
my mouth tastes really weird. So,
I'm so sorry. I think the one that's been waiting the longest is the one we should take next. But before we take that call, um, please make sure that you go to patreon.com/call the line if you want another way to support our show. You can support this show, all the other shows on this channel, and there's some really great bonus content on there. So go to patreon.com/call the line and become a patron. And as a reminder, super chats of $5 or more will be read at the end of the show. And
yay.
that's all my reminders.
I
Oh,
haven't read
maybe.
super chats in like, I guess since I was on here last, like in
No
May,
way.
because we don't do them on the Sunday show.
Oh my gosh. Oh, actually, okay. So before we go to our net, this is so exciting. You'll get to read super chats. Okay, everyone, give us really good super chats because Promise hasn't gotten to do this in a really long time. Okay, so I'll read actually the next couple of days, our schedule for the next couple of days. So tomorrow, the hang up with Matt and Justin at 6 p.m. TACIS on the 5th on Thursday at 2 p.m. with Lux and Josie. We're gonna do a Cus I Wanna, maybe the 6th/7th. It looks like there's 6 p.m. slots for both of them, but we'll see if we're actually doing them. I feel like maybe just the 7th so far. On Sunday, we're back with the Sunday show with Matt and Erica. And and then the evening Sunday show, Promise and Forest. Yeah, girl, she's back.
The Super
Skep-
Bowl, I was like, oh, I'll sign up for this night. I don't have anything going on. And then I realized
Super Bowl.
it's the Super Bowl, which
It's the Bad
I
Bunny
really,
concert
that's, I was going to say, that's the only part I care about, but I'll just
in
have to
Green
watch
Day.
it after. So,
Yeah.
yes.
And then we're back on Monday with Skeptalk with Forrest and Erica, and then Chewed Gum again on Tuesday, and it'll be myself and
Tuesday.
Taylor, and that's it. That's our next couple of days. Always great programming here at the line.
Love it. I think I
Um,
can hang out and chat on Tuesday as well.
oh my gosh.
Um,
Okay, that's exciting. All right, so we have another caller who not only is a
I'm seeing
theist,
this. Yes.
refused to say that he was a theist and insisted that our screener specifically wrote walking with God.
Which
And
one? How do they
also,
know?
yeah, important questions. Which one? How do they know? And also did not give us any pronouns. So
Hello.
Cortez, hello.
Okay. Ask you a question.
You're asking us a question?
I said, ask you a question that you want to ask me.
Ask.
Can
Oh,
I start with mine? So it says here, you didn't say if you're a theist or an atheist, but it says walking with God. So I assume that means you're a theist and you believe that a God exists. Which God do you believe in?
Jesus Christ.
Okay, so are you a Christian?
I'm a person that walks with God
How do you know that you walk with God?
because of my wrongdoings and me being not a perfect person to follow every law in the Bible when it comes to the history of understanding an entity, understanding the flesh of me.
How do you know you're not just a normal human doing what humans do? How do you know that that means you're walking with God?
because I'm wrong.
What do you mean? What does you being wrong have to do with you walking with God? How are they
Because
related?
I talk to you wrong. I hurt other people's feelings. I drink. I smoke. Uh, I
But
have
that
sex
doesn't feel
But
like
outside
how
of
but how does
a
that but
relationship
but how does that prove that a God exists? Like how why does that mean you're correct in believing this?
because God wrote it, and He wrote it by other people that was crooked by my own understanding.
How do you know that that's true?
Because the Bible was written by human beings.
How do you know that the Bible matters at all?
Because it's a reflection on my own human choice as a human being in my own life.
How does that make it true? How does that make the Bible true?
Because for me, I can look at my own situation, I can look at my own choices, I can look at my own emotions and my own
but it
reasons of why
Let me
I did
try
it.
Cortez,
let
if you're making choices that are maybe not the best choices, that would indicate to me that you are not walking with God because you are making choices that are not aligned with what he would want for you. Am I wrong? Like that's what I feel like I'm hearing.
God is not about being perfect. God is about recognizing human beings as a human being.
Yeah, and
Okay,
then
let
sending you
me
to eternal damnation if it's the wrong human being trait that he doesn't like that day.
That's your choice.
I I feel like we're not actually getting answers to what I originally was asking. So let's try it this way. Is God real?
Yes,
How do you know?
because God is real because I make my own choices and He doesn't strike me down.
How do
That
you know
again
that
feels like God is
how do you
not
know
real.
that God isn't real then? Because that seems like there's
That
nothing there.
feels,
So what's
yeah,
the difference between if how would you know if a God doesn't exist?
Because if a God did exist or didn't exist, it would be death upon me for every law that He made.
So then you don't think God is real.
God is real because He gives me free of choice.
So what's interesting, Cortez, is everything that you're talking about feels like the things that make God unlikely, like freedom of choice, making choices that are against what maybe biblical standards. Like these all and you're still here. Like you're doing those things every day. There hasn't been a lightning strike that has gotten you and you know, ended your life because you're doing all of these things that are against biblical standards. You're still here. So that to me just feels like proof that maybe your God is not so real because you're able to make whatever choices you want to. And nothing's happened. There's no consequence that you can tell.
As a consequence, after I die,
How do you know?
because no man can create heaven.
Cortez,
No
I
man.
have a question. I feel like you're not your responses are pretty incoherent with what's going on here. And you mentioned earlier that I think you said you drink, you smoke. Are you currently drinking?
No,
You're sober right now.
yes,
Okay. Just checking. Because if there's substances involved, then I am happy to move on because I don't feel like you're actually answering our questions. And I don't know if that's because you're being dishonest or maybe you're just not like ready for this conversation right now. But if you're being honest, then um, I think maybe you're not listening to us because we're asking for reasons like why you think this God exists. And so far, you haven't given any. And if anything, you've kind of given good arguments against the existence of a God.
Okay.
Maybe you can answer it this way. How would I be able to figure out if a God is real?
I don't know.
Okay. Okay, so well, Cortez, I want to ask you about what you originally called in about, which was a feminist narrative. I don't know. Explain this to me. What was this original topic?
I think the feminist narrative, when it comes to a woman trying to have equal rights in society, it's good. But at the same time, it doesn't build a relationship between men and females.
Anytime someone says men and females, I'm like, well, this is not going to go the way that I want this to. Calling women females just feels like just so
Are we talking
icky and
about
weird.
humans here or just like men and then female
Humans
things?
are females. I'm a male. I'm a human male.
Right, but you said men
Girl,
and female, not you didn't say males and females, and you didn't say men and women. You said men and females, is what Alyssa's pointing out.
because of the social order of how a female would look at a male.
Wait, Cortez, can I do a little experiment with you actually? I promise it's not mean. It's not like anything mean. It's just like I'm just curious. Can I ask you like lightning round questions and they're going to be questions you like know and have answers to. Um and you just have to answer
I
them.
don't know, but go ahead.
Okay. Who's the president of the United States right now?
Donald Trump
Okay. What day of the week is it?
is right now is Tuesday.
Okay. What color is the sky?
Is right now it's dark.
I don't know if that was an answer, but I'll move on. Um, what season are we in?
Winter.
Winter. What's your favorite thing to drink?
Um size liquor, but apple juice.
And what liquor did you drink tonight?
Didn't drink anything tonight.
I don't know if I believe you.
Okay. So ask about the question that I asked about.
Ask about a question of what you asked about. Okay. What you asked about, I actually don't really understand. You said something about females, about like I presume women, human women. What exactly is your point about human women and males and making relationships or whatever?
I'm talking about the feminist narrative when it comes to the talking point about a woman talking about their complaints against a male in society.
So you're saying what about women critiquing men and society? What about that?
I'm talking about the feminist narrative.
Right. What about it?
I'm saying it doesn't create harmony or peace between males and females.
It's not really about creating peace though. So like you might be right, and the purpose of having feminism is to ensure that everyone, including men, have equal rights and equal opportunities. That's like the core principle of intersectional feminism. So that process often is not peaceful. But if the end goal is to have a more equitable environment and more equitable relationships, then I don't really mind that it's not a peaceful process. It's very rare that change comes from very peaceful, if we could have just requested the right to vote, I'm sure people and gotten it, I'm sure that's what they would have preferred. But that's not what happened. They had to burn bras and march for years and years and years to say, like, we have brains and an opinion that we would like to share. Thank you so much.
But for me, I don't see that equal outcome when it comes to men having equal rights. When it comes to the child support or men being accused of rape or men having the same equal outcome when it comes to a social society accusing them for certain wrongs.
Okay, so if you're talking about, okay. Okay, so just to recap, what you're sharing is that you think that women have some sort of upper hand because they are given custody when there is a conversation of custody within like a divorce or separation, and what was the other one that you said? Well, actually, before I ask about oh yes, about sexual assault. Okay, so I'll do this for you very simply because those opinions are based off of not real facts. I'll tell you right now that less than 10% of the times that sexual assault is reported is it shown to not be true. And there are much more times where sexual assault is not reported at all. So the vast majority of times when it is reported, it is true. And there are many more times where it's not even reported at all. In the circumstance of custody battles, there is, I can't remember the percentage, but it's a pretty high percentage of the time when there is a conversation of custody, the dad doesn't even come to court. And a court will decide what the best choice is for the child. So if they have decided that the dad is not the appropriate place to be, then they either need to get a new lawyer or they need to make some changes in their life. So that's not really anyone's problem except theirs.
And why do you want men to step up?
Why do I want them to step up?
I said, sorry, why do females in society want men to step up?
Because all they do is whine and bitch and moan about how their lives are unfair. And I refuse to believe that we are supposed to do all of the fixing for it.
Like men are our number one predators. We're most likely to be killed by a man. So it's not even just like, oh, step up. It's like, hey, please stop being like the main ones that we're victims of. It's kind of like asking for the bare minimum, basically.
Then
So if you want to call that stepping up, then okay, we can call it stepping up, but it's just kind of like, hey, don't like stop being the number one abusers and the number one like people that commit murder and like that murder their pregnant wives because they suddenly decided they don't want her to exist anymore. Like the stats for those things are insane.
Then I say to men, walk away. Don't involve yourself in society. Don't care for females. Just walk away. If you want,
but here, Cortez, now we have
just walk away.
Now we have a situation, Cortez, where we have men talking about a loneliness epidemic. And the expectation is that women are going to shift our behaviors and accept whatever we're being offered, and women don't really want to do that. So we can choose the path of, okay, men, just walk away. Stop taking care of women when ignoring the fact that women are now out-earning men in college degrees and are able to work and afford their own lifestyle. No one needs to be taken care of the way that they were systematically trapped into 60 years ago. So why would the answer be men can just walk away, stop caring about it, don't take care of anybody? Why is that the answer and not maybe we try and shift our behaviors? Let's get together on common ground. What are things that we can work together on to make these relationships beneficial and fun for both of us?
So they're not talking about it.
Who's not talking about it?
Females. They're not talking about how.
Well, a lot
the
of females
relationship
literally
can be
can't talk
in the-
because they're like cats and, you know, dogs and parrots. And are we talking about women? Is that what you mean?
Yes, I'm talking about women. How
Got
can
it.
it be
Okay, just
beneficial for me as a man of believing about equal rights and also being a man advocate when it comes to talking about men protecting and providing for females when females doesn't want to do the social contract that men have every day do when it comes to providing protection. And yes, we are
What
hopeless and
our
we
Providing
number one
protection.
predator, our number one predator is men. And also, who are you protecting us from? Other men. What are you talking about? You are
yes, we are protecting.
you are protecting.
Yes,
Never in my
yes,
life
yeah.
has a man physically had to protect me. Like, that's just like a made up imaginary fuck shit thing that the manosphere tells you needs to happen.
Okay.
And also, if you're gonna protect me, if a man is going to protect me, they're gonna protect me from other men. So it would appear that the
Right.
problem is the men. Again.
80% of violent crimes are committed by men. So what are you talking
Yes,
about?
I don't,
They're not
I
fulfilling
don't
this
disagree
social
with you.
construct or contract that you're claiming they are. I don't understand.
Yes.
Like,
Yes, because I'm protecting from other men. I also am doing the dirty work when it comes to a household, paying bills, and also taking out the garbage, and also fixing things in the household that you don't want to fix. Sometimes a female will fix it, but at the same time,
And do
we
you do
are
this
built.
for a woman in your life? Are you doing this in a home with a woman in your life?
Yeah.
And she does nothing for you?
See, a woman never does nothing for me.
Does the woman that is in your house right now that you are doing all of these nice, quote, manly things for, what does she do in your household?
It's not manly. It's my responsibility.
Okay.
It's not
and you would
manly.
have to do it if you
It's
lived
my
alone.
personal
You
growth.
still have to take the trash out if you live on your own. You still have to take the car in and get the oil changed, even if whether you live with a woman or you live on your own. These are just like, you're describing basic human responsibility and you're complaining about it. What do you think women are
No,
supposed to do?
do you
What is your complaint?
a
What are
woman
women
want to do
what are
that?
what is
Do
your
a
woman in
woman
your
want
life
to
doing?
do?
Alyssa asked you a question.
What does the woman in your life do? Do you have
Cook,
children?
clean?
She cooks?
No.
She cleans?
Yes.
Okay. So what are you talking about that the social construct is not being held up? Because what I hear is exactly your social construct that you're talking about being held up in your home.
Okay, I'm talking about every woman that wants a.
Why the fuck do you care about everyone else's
broken
home?
back.
Why is it your business what happens
I
in
do.
everybody else's home? Why do you care?
It does. I do.
Why?
I care about my fellow man.
Why? Mind your business, Cortez.
I care about my fellow man.
My ass, you care about your fellow man, because if you cared about your fellow man, you would not worry so much about protecting us from other men and have a conversation with your fellow men to tell us to stop fucking killing us and putting us in danger. How about that? You care about your fellow man. Why don't you have a conversation with them about why we need to be worried about our safety around them all the time? So much so that it makes more sense to have a man around because you all only respect other men.
Is that always true?
Of course, it's not always true. I am projecting in the world that you have shared with us. This is based on your conversation, your evidence of how you experience the world.
Yes. I believe men should be held to the social responsibility of protecting females from other men.
Oh, promise you're muted.
Why isn't your solution to tell other men to stop harming women? You want to be in fights instead? Also, how many women have you physically protected, Cortez? Have you been in physical fights and protected women?
Yes.
Really? How often does this happen? How many women have you saved and protected? Rough estimate.
My sister, other females that have been around me, I can't really count, but yes.
Great. And it's women, right, that you're protecting in those circumstances?
Yes.
From who?
Other men.
Right. And why isn't your solution to say, hey, men, stop harming women?
Because sometimes, yes, I can talk to other men. I can build leaderships towards other men. But at the same time, is females is broadcasting that every man or every potential male that's around them is a danger. How can I make those men not be worried about those females around them?
I have no idea what you just said, to be
Cortez,
totally honest
I'm going to
with
be
you.
honest with you. I don't believe that you're not drinking. And if you are not drinking, what you're saying makes no sense. And we have other callers that I am hoping are going to be slightly more coherent.
Hold up. I'm just saying, I'm being clear.
You are not being clear.
Okay, I'm being clear right now. Every man has a opinion towards a woman thinking they could be harmful towards them. So I'm just saying, if a man has that opinion and you're saying that a man should be more aware of that, so how can I build the bridge of understanding?
I don't understand
I don't know
anything
what
that
you're
you just
talking
said
about.
in that sentence.
How can I how can I build the bridge of understanding towards your thinking and towards your opinion towards mine? Because I don't want males to harm other females. I don't want other females to look at other males as a threat. But at the same time,
then they got to stop being threats.
There you go. Go ahead.
Then men need to stop being threats.
In what way?
In the in being the 80% of violent crime committers. In that way.
Is that every man in every situation that a woman can interact with a man?
It's 80% of the time. Of course, it's not. You're not here. No, of course, it's not every time a woman
committed.
Like
80% of the time, it's a man. That's
if
what
you
we're
had,
saying.
Cortez, I'm going to put it to you this way. If you went to the grocery store and they told you 80% of these apples are poisoned, would you go and get an apple?
I will clarify, that's not the statistic. The statistic is that 80% of the violent crimes are caused by men. Not that 80% of men commit violent crimes.
Yeah.
That would be
sorry.
even scarier. Yeah, but it is, just to clarify, it's that violent crimes 80% of the time are committed by a man, not a woman.
Yeah.
Okay,
Anyway,
but if you're going to
Cortez,
judge
I think
every man like that,
Yes, because if I am out somewhere and there's a snake, and let's say only 80% of the time the snake is not going to be poisonous and kill me. But 20% of the time it is. That's way too much. That is way too much. So you have to be careful and you have to treat each situation carefully. Do you want your
so
sister to go out and just, so you've already, this is so weird to me. You told me that you've had to protect your sister from other men. Do you want your sister to just go out and trust all men blindly?
no, but I want to tell my
Okay.
sister look at every man as a whole.
We don't say that either. But in general, you do have to be careful as a woman. When I go somewhere alone, especially in the US, I have to be very careful of the men around me because I don't know them. And I know that if a crime is committed against me, it's 80% likely that it's going to be a man.
So, right, and looking at a woman, looking at my pockets and looking at my earnings and looking at
Cortez,
my social
please
history.
give me a fucking break. It's always men like you who are like, women are gold
Also,
diggers. You don't
I
have
just
gold to dig,
Also, I was just looking at
please.
the stats, and women are paying bills more than they ever have. So I don't know what you're talking about. Like they're making their own money now to the point that men are upset about it because they identify only as making money and they don't know what to do when a woman doesn't need them financially. So you're not even like following the latest stats on all of this. I can try to find a number for you, but I think we might have to move on to the next caller.
Yeah, I
Well,
think
okay,
Cortez,
they making their own money, but at the same time, why do they need men?
we don't.
We
That's the
don't.
point. We don't.
Okay, then don't complain when men leave y'all asses.
Who do you hear
Nobody.
complaining? It's
Also,
not there's
I'm
not
not
a
being
female
left.
loneliness epidemic that I
Yeah,
hear
none of
people
us, we're
talking
not being
about.
left.
I hear the male loneliness epidemic being talked about ad nauseum. And I usually have a lot of empathy for men in this circumstance, but I firmly believe that you are intoxicated in one way or another. You don't listen to anything that we say, and I'm going to drop your call before you even have a chance to respond. The next time you call, please be sober because I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Jesus, fuck you guys.
The female was
The
really,
females, I can't. He it also it's so annoying when people call like that and make me actually regress because I've gotten like so much more. I've gotten so much like so much more empathy and so much more understanding for men who are like truly genuinely
yeah, you're
struggling
very chill.
with feeling very lonely. Like I want to help people understand truly that are like having a blind spot about it and like are really, but like what the fuck is he even talking about?
I just want to draw your guys' attention to the poll I put in chat because it's very funny.
Oh my
Oh,
God. Okay, wait.
wait,
How
do
do
I
I
even know
see
how
the
to do
results of
this?
the poll?
I don't even know
Reaction
how
to
to
Click it
look
and it
at
profile
it.
drops
chat.
down.
Can you read it to me,
Yeah,
Alyssa?
for those who can't
Because
see
I'm
it,
an
it says,
idiot.
"Who is the worst New Jersey caller?" And I put
Oh
three
yes.
options. I put Andrew, Cortez, or secret third option. And for a while there, it was like 38% between Andrew and Cortez. I just thought it was very funny how neck and neck it is.
Oh my
Incredible.
God. Truly. I've had a little bit of a vendetta against New Jersey, and they're really not helping with this whole
That's
situation.
too good. Oh man.
Jeez. Okay,
Shall we
well,
get through our next few callers before? Because so we
yes.
have to end right at 8:30 or 8:30 CST. So in just a little over an hour. Is that
If we go
right?
like 5 minutes over, that would not be a nightmare. But yeah, right
Okay.
about there.
Give us a heads up on super chats if you don't mind, just so we can make sure we end calls with enough time to read those. Because I'm so excited
Yeah,
to
there's kind of a lot.
have super chat
Okay,
time. Okay, yeah.
fun. All right, yeah, give us a warning. I would like to take Tim in because based on the topic that he has shared here, I think this is going to be a pretty quick call, but
Yeah, because that is not really a thing, but yeah,
yeah.
we
Okay.
know this.
Hey,
Hi,
so
Tim.
I wanted to talk about how you
Oh,
doing. I wanted to talk about abortion, but if we have maybe a little extra time, could we possibly go into that last topic you were talking about?
well, I think we will because based on what I see in our little like program, you're against
Okay.
abortions after 5 months, and abortions after 5 months don't happen. So
Yeah, it's less than 1%, and it's almost always because of like really severe medical issues, and it's really traumatic for everybody involved, and nobody's excited about it. And after that, like just a few weeks after that point, it's just a birth. It's a live birth. So it's not even an abortion anymore.
Oh, okay. Well, I've heard some people on this channel say that it should be okay for a woman to terminate a pregnancy. And what you're saying about live birth, I would be against that as well. And I'll tell you
You're
why.
against a woman giving birth?
Oh, but voluntarily terminating the pregnancy, unless it's
That's
medically
not what I'm
necessary.
talking about. I'm
But
letting you know that after a certain point, the pregnancy is then considered viable, and so then they're not nobody's having an abortion at that point. They're giving birth to a child and giving it up for adoption if they don't want the child anymore.
Okay, but
Have
I
you
see.
ever
But you're saying they should have the. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
have you ever read the stats on abortion, all that? If you want to know my stance, it's that I don't care if there is a grown man attached to an organ of my body, and if I no longer allow him to be connected to that, he's going to die. It doesn't matter. I don't owe him. I don't owe any human, no matter how developed it is. I don't owe them access to any organs in my body.
So hold on. But would you be okay with inducing the pregnancy to give birth early, and then the baby is born prematurely?
that doesn't
but
happen. That doesn't happen.
But
just
okay, but
isn't
I'm
to
saying
abort
morally speaking, would you be okay with that?
that
Because I've
doesn't
heard people on
matter.
this channel make that argument.
I don't think you have. I think maybe you misunderstood what they were saying, because I don't think that's just murder. Like no one is
Okay. Oh,
if
okay,
it's a
that's murder. Okay.
viable, yeah, if it's a viable life that
Well,
doesn't depend on another
it
living
doesn't
being.
happen.
Yeah, it just
Yeah.
doesn't happen. That's not the same thing.
But you said that even if a grown person was attached, so you would be okay with that. If the woman, it seems like you're
Here,
saying
let me
you
ask
would
you
be
this,
okay
Tim.
with the one.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that you should be, let's say, there's a random person and you don't know, or we can say it's a family member. Let's say there's a family member of yours and they require blood donation from you 24/7, to where they have to be connected. Let's say this was a thing. Let's say they could be connected to you and you have to be giving them blood at all times. And if you don't, you're their only match and they're going to die. Do you think you should be legally required to do that?
If I voluntarily chose to begin doing so for a period of
Tim,
time,
did
yes.
you hear what I just said? Do you think you should be legally obligated? So if you say, okay, sure, I will give my blood to this person. At a certain point, if you're like, I don't want to give my blood to this person anymore, you think you should be legally required to continue?
If I knew that there was a certain period of time and I knew the stakes, then for instance, it's like there's something called a voluntary undertaking in the law. There's something called a voluntary undertaking. So once I'm choosing to go through with that, then I put myself in that responsibility.
Then we just disagree. I don't think anybody should be legally required to give any part of their body over to another human.
Okay. So you think that, just to be clear, so you think that if it would compromise the health of the baby, a woman should be able to choose to end the pregnancy early, and if the baby can survive, but it might have, growth, it might have growth issue, it might have defects going into life because it's not fully developed. So you think you should subject a baby to a whole life of that because you just don't want to be pregnant, and you chose to be pregnant, and you chose to carry the baby for a certain number of months.
Tim, it's literally always a man who calls about this kind of thing, because you will never have the experience of being pregnant, and you will never have the experience of having to make this choice. And it makes me so mad because you talk about pregnancy like it's nothing. Like it's just like, just because you're pregnant. Do you know that some pregnant women's teeth fall out? Their hair can fall out. Like, this is real. Pregnancy is really, really stressful on people's bodies. So, like, And also, then you have a child and you have to take care of it your entire life. Like, this is not like a willy-nilly thing that it's like, just because you decided to be pregnant. What are you talking about?
And this is really not a good, like, if you're asking my moral judgment on this issue, I would have to know the exact specific situation, which is why I am happy to outsource this job of figuring this process out to doctors and to the law, which should support women's autonomy, and it should support doctors being able to help women decide what to do with their own bodies and not, and guiding them through that. There are literally guidelines to all of this in very progressive countries where this is just not an issue, where they laugh at the idea of even discussing abortion because the doctors and the women themselves have the autonomy they need to make these decisions, and they do that. So you're asking me for my moral opinion on something that I couldn't possibly know unless I knew the exact circumstance. I would have to know who the person is, what's going on, all the different things, and it would change from person to person. It doesn't matter what I think is moral or not. It matters what should be legally allowed. That's all that matters. So that's why this is a debate about legality, not about my specific personal opinion on this person having an abortion if I think it's a good enough reason or not. I don't think I have the information that I need to know to make that decision, which is why thankfully I don't have to do that. I think it is up to that person and their doctor to figure that out together.
Okay, but I'm just having a discussion about like what ought to be, and a number of
what
and it
ought
seems
to be
like
what?
when pressed,
What ought to be
it
what?
seems like when
Legal
pressed-
or moral?
Okay, what had ought to be what is moral and what had ought to be legal based on that.
Sorry, that's not how we do law. I don't agree with that at all.
Often
because
you don't think
no,
we,
because
you don't think we
yes, because
determine law
I know
through-
I know people that think it is immoral to have sex before they get married. I do not think you
Okay.
should make that a law. I think that would be a horrific government to say that now because this group of people thinks this thing is immoral, now you can't do it. I know people that think it is immoral to eat certain foods on certain days of the week. So should we now ban it for everybody? Like, who gets to decide? That's why you're asking me my personal opinion about what I think is moral or immoral about an issue, and that's not how we decide law. At least it's not how we're supposed to.
Well,
Some people are trying to change that in this country, and that's insane.
Well, we still use our subjective opinion of the objective information. Like, your subjective opinion is going to decide the law. I mean, that's why we have varying laws in different countries, because they decide which objective facts, or maybe they don't even follow objective facts, matter to them. So I would disagree on that point.
Do you think it's immoral? Do you think it's immoral to not wear a seatbelt?
Do I think it's immoral to not wear a seatbelt? Yeah, it could be, because you could fly out and hit somebody. I mean, you might have dependents. So I think generally, yeah, it's generally
You're
immoral
just being dishonest and refusing to understand what I'm saying.
No, I'm not.
Law
I swear to you, I'm not.
Law is not based on what we think is moral or not. Some laws sometimes take that into account, but in general, laws are there to provide like safe boundaries around things where people can still have, at least that's what I think they should be, is to provide people autonomy, personal autonomy, and safety at the same time. So I think the goal should be to have maximum amount of freedom and minimum amount of harm caused to other people.
That's based on your sense of morality.
No, it's not. That's based on
that's
based on me being pragmatic, because what I just said would allow people to do things that I think are immoral, and that's okay, because I think that cheating should be legal. I think people should be legally able to cheat on each other. I also think it is immoral to cheat on people. But I don't think you should make it illegal, because I think people should have bodily autonomy. And if they want to make a stupid decision, they want to hurt somebody's feelings in that way, then they can do it. Now, I do think it should be illegal, and it is, to withhold, like if you know that you have a life-threatening illness, that you can have somebody contract by not disclosing that information. So that's where we get into the things about keeping people safe. Okay. Not about morals, but about safety.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you think it's immoral to imprison someone for cheating on someone?
Do I think it's immoral to imprison somebody for cheating on somebody?
Yes.
Based on what I think is moral, yeah, I think that's fucked up. I don't agree with that. But that's why we don't.
Your morals absolutely decide what you think that the law should be. They coincide very, very
No,
closely, it seems
no,
to be.
Tim, listen to what you just said, because I just gave you a demonstration of how what I think is immoral, I still don't think should be a law.
Okay.
Are you asking, do I think it should be illegal for people to make it illegal? Like, I don't understand what you're saying. Because it
You,
sounds like to me you're just dismissing my point.
I do believe that we decide laws based on our sense of morality. But
As I said
if you
earlier,
want to move
I
on,
think that goes
okay.
into part of it, but there's plenty of laws where it's not about morality. I don't think abortion laws should be about what people think is moral or not, because this specific issue has been hijacked by extremists, religious extremists, who have now brought up fake arguments like this idea that people are having abortions after 5 months, when we can literally look at the data and see that that's not happening. But they've brought up these arguments to make it an emotional thing, and they've gotten people to be like, oh, that's immoral. So you have this moral outrage happening on an issue that shouldn't have anything to do with that, and instead should be about safety and protecting people.
Yeah, but I have heard people, and on this channel, I believe, advocating for that. So
then call those people and talk to them. What do you
Tim,
want me to do about
also,
that, Tim?
Also, that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. So it doesn't really, it doesn't
happens in
happen
1% of the
unless
cases.
less than 1% because of medical
Because of-
reasons. And the important thing, Tim, and this is actually important for you to, like, outside of any debate, this is the most important part about when abortion rights are called into question legally. Because when they are called into question legally, we are having a problem where there are women who need abortions because it is a life-threatening situation. Those women and those children are not able to get the life-saving care that they need because there is this fear that there are people using abortions as birth control and having abortions after 5 months and things that are like fear-mongering conversations. The truth is we need to have abortions legalized because it is more important to protect the safety of both that mother and that child, whether they want to keep that baby or not. It's an important procedure to not have any infiltration with. Let people do what they need to do, because you, Tim, and me, Alyssa, we don't know. We can't do case by case interventions like that. If you personally want to hold a belief that you think that people should not have abortions, great. You can advocate for that in your personal life, or you can start an advocacy group in your own life, because this is the United States of America. You should have freedom of speech. You can do that. Legally, we need to have this accessible to people. We have to.
Well, I do think that, only a minority of abortions are medically necessary, but I will say
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well,
it doesn't matter.
I support up, the right to have an abortion up to a certain point, but I do think that there are a minority of people with an extreme view within the left, and I think that it's off-putting to people and allows those fear-mongering people to gain legitimacy. And I don't think it's a good thing.
Tim, thank you. You're catering to my point right now, which is that we shouldn't be debating about the morality of it. You can think that abortion is horrifically immoral at any point, and I respect your right to think that. And therefore, you should live your life according to your morals. What you cannot do is take whatever you think is moral or immoral and project it onto other people and require that they now live the way that you do because of that. That is why we look to laws instead, so that we can create a safe society that also allows people to practice their subjective morality the way they see it. So I don't think that we should ever get into the morality of abortion, because it varies from person to person. And then are you going to tell me that on one day you think an abortion is okay if this woman has an abortion, but in 2 days from then, now you're going to think that it's wrong? Why? You shouldn't have to defend that opinion. You should just keep it to yourself and then don't get an abortion after 5 months. That's easy. So that's why I agree with you. Don't play into the morality argument. It's stupid. It doesn't help anybody, and it's irrelevant. What matters is the legality. and then that individual person figuring out what they think is moral or not for them to do.
Yeah, but there's always going to be a fine line because, you know, one day the baby's going to be born. So one day it's an abortion, and one day it's not an abortion, like you said. I mean, the
Precisely
baby's
my
going to be
point,
born,
which is why you should just figure out what you're okay with legally. And we should talk about the legality here. Because I don't
I
care.
will say,
I don't care. I don't care about what's moral or not. I don't care what your opinion. Like, if you think this day of the week is okay and then this one isn't, why do we care about that? We care about what should be legal or not. And I am all for autonomy in this situation.
okay, I will say that I think that you have a big misunderstanding of the law if you don't think that the differences in laws between different countries have to do with the differences in moral values between those countries and even different states.
I didn't say that. If you go back and listen to the call when you first brought up morality and law, I said, yes, it does have influence on some of this. I don't know if I used the exact word influence or that is part of what we take into account, but not all laws are guided by that, nor do I think they should be. We don't all just decide as a society like, okay, it is immoral to not wear a seatbelt. So we're going to say that no, we're picking things like, because there are plenty of people who are like, no, I think this is fine, or no, I don't, but it's the law, so we're going to follow it.
Okay.
Like speeding. There's a certain point of speeding where you're a reckless driver, and I could be, personally, I think that's immoral. Like, then I think you're being irresponsible and you're putting people's lives at risk. But do I think going 5 miles per hour over the speed limit is immoral? No. But are both illegal? Yes, they are, because we set these boundaries and these laws to create the safer society that we want. So that's why morality is a totally different topic, because there's so much more nuance and gray area to morality and not to law. At least there's not supposed to be.
In law, there is something called discretion. So, like, the police have the discretion to decide to pull you over if you're only going 5 miles per hour, and they usually don't.
Yes, discretion is taken into account when it comes to the consequences of breaking the law. But laws are supposed to be stated clearly. Like, a good law is one that's stated really clearly so that it's really easy to interpret and then to therefore figure out what the consequences are.
Okay. Well, I think, can we move on from that? And I wanted to talk about the intersexual violence.
I'll let Alyssa decide, but I think that unfortunately we've got 2 more callers that we've had waiting this whole time, and we only have a few more minutes left before we have to read super chats. But I would be totally down for you in just a second, because if this is a topic you want to discuss, I'm happy to take that call, and I'll be back. Spoiler, everybody, I'll be back in 2 weeks if you want to call then, or you could call next week when Taylor and Alyssa are on.
All right, well, it's up to you. I can call back.
I think call back so that we don't start a conversation. Like, I think it's going to be way less. I think it's going to be very unsatisfying for both of us to start the conversation and like put a pin in it. So, I don't know how good your memory is. If I were you, I would write down exactly what it is you want to talk about, and then call back. You can call back next week. I'll be here, but in 2 weeks, promise we'll be back too.
All right. Have a good night.
Thanks,
you too, Sam. Bye.
Yeah, because otherwise we're gonna just hear. You're right. We'll hear the first part, and then we can't really get into it.
And then not gonna be so fun.
Okay. Have you guys been taking a lot of abortion calls lately? Because you and I were doing a lot of those right before
we were.
I left. We were crushing it. I'm just so over the conversation about the morality of it. Like,
and
you're right. It is always men. It's like, why do you, like, you're wasting, go form an opinion about something else more interesting that maybe is relevant to you. But it's this, like, to me, it is just evidence of how the religious extremism has, in a lot of ways, won this, like, moral outrage war where they get people to care about stuff that, I'm sorry, you don't really care about that. Like,
you don't care about kids. You don't. Because if you cared about kids, you would make daycare free. You would make healthcare for children free. You would make, you would do all of these other things to make having children easy and like encourage people to do that and also so that kids can have happy, safe lives in the US. And you don't do
And
that. You only care about the abortion part because that feels like something that you can place a moral judgment on women for.
yes, that's exactly it. They want to place a judgment. It's not even so much about like I feel bad talking about this now that Tim is off the call, but he can call back if he wants to listen to this and respond to some of these points. But it to me, it comes across like somebody just wanting to judge others, but not actually
Mm.
caring about the issue. Because when I feel moral outrage about something, when I'm like, that is wrong and immoral, I start like devoting my life to that cause. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I go find out the statistics. I go learn about like who the real victims are, why this is happening, what we can do to stop it. I don't call in with a strong opinion saying like, "Oh, well, I think it's wrong after this point." And then I don't even know how many abortions are occurring after that point. Like that's what
Yeah.
I don't understand is the men that call in and they have a very strong opinion where they say this is immoral. Because to me to say something's immoral, like there's not a lot of things in this world I actually think are immoral. I think most things are a very gray area. So for you to come
Hmm.
with that strong of a word and then to not know what you're talking about, then I don't
Hmm.
believe you. I don't believe that
Yeah.
you really care at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, sorry,
And
that's
it's
my rant.
also many times when people call and they are having this conversation because they care about the sanctity of life. That's where like and you know, that's where we have the conversation of if you care about the sanctity of life, you have to keep abortions legal because there are not fewer abortions because they are illegal. There are just unsafe ones, which means not only is the pregnancy aborted, but then the mother is also in danger. So if you care about the sanctity of life, then you will have it, it will remain legal and maybe offer free contraceptives to people and actual sex education so that people can are better informed about how to not get pregnant.
Yeah.
How about that? Why is the
Yep.
focus on abortion? Why is it not preventative? Why are we not? It's the same, and it's the same, like it's conservative states that don't want real sex education in their schools, and it's conservative states that also don't want abortion access. So you guys are just fucking us on both ends and then
Yeah.
telling us
Yep.
to basically figure it out. Suck it. You guys are the ones who can get pregnant, so that's what you're like. It's just it gives Handmaid's Tale, and it's also for him to talk about pregnancy like it's something casual, knowing that like women can legitimately have calcium deficiencies that cause their teeth to fall out. Like
Right.
that's real. So like don't you, Tim, will never ever deal with that. You will never actually if you even think about what it's like to have the stomach flu and be throwing up while you have the stomach flu. Tim, I guarantee you're not going to work, babe. You are not going to work. You're not doing shit. You are down and out. You are getting, medicine Uber Eats to your door. Like you are not moving. People who are pregnant, it is so common for them to be so sick that they are throwing up
Well,
every single day, all day, that we
and the
don't even think
mortality
twice about.
rates
Yeah, right, but we don't
in
even
the
think twice
US,
about
like
this symptom of like morning sickness, which is actually horrible. And it's
yep.
like the most basic. So many women have that problem, and we just sort of like brush over it. And for anyone else, if they were to be so sick that they were throwing up all day, it would literally you would stop doing your work that day. You would sit in bed, and that's just like the smallest, babyest part of being pregnant. And then, like you said,
Yeah.
mortality rates in the US are so high. So, like, stop talking about pregnancy like it's so
Right.
casual.
Well, that's my thing, like, especially, sorry to pull the Finland card, but in Finland,
Mhm.
uh, first of all, you don't have to worry about, like, money is not a factor for deciding if you're having children or not, which
Yeah.
for my friends,
So
that's like,
nice.
other than figuring out if they personally want to have kids, like, money is the thing. You have to figure out, like, are we financially ready to have a kid? First of all, that's not happening in Finland. You're getting some of the best healthcare you could possibly get. The like mortality rates compared to ours, it makes us look so embarrassing over in the US. You are given a box full of baby clothes and like all the essentials, and they're nice. Like it's
So
a whole
nice.
thing. So my moral outrage is that why aren't we doing that? Like, I do care about babies. I do care about families. I do care about mothers. Therefore, my moral outrage is that we're
Mm-hmm.
not actually taking care of the ones that we already have that are like happy and wanting to have children and go through all the horrific changes and all that. Also, you're not even taking into account like when the call about the 5 months and later, like I know somebody who had to have an abortion around that time, and it was the most traumatic,
Mm-hmm.
upsetting, not
Oh my God,
she
I can't
like
imagine.
did not want that. It was due to genetic deformities that a negligent doctor did not catch earlier on.
Mm,
And awful, awful situation. And then you want to call in and like have an opinion about this and not take that into account and not be like, hey, we should also be caring about like the medical negligence that we're seeing happening. And um, it was a woman of color, and I suspect there was some stuff going on because of that. So it's just like,
hmm
yes, have moral outrage, but like pick some things that are like very easy for us to all have moral outrage about together that like are obvious that would also, maybe make it seem like you actually do care about humans.
Right. Right, I know. And the other thing too is when people talk about these like late stage abortions, by 5 months, you're well into your second trimester, like you're closer to your third. You think this person probably picked out baby names. This person probably had a baby shower. They bought a stroller. You think that they want to abort that child? You think that that is crushing to have to do that. So like but again, it's like it's people like Tim who are not even thinking like that because they're more likely, not all the time, they're more likely not the ones who are shopping for the stroller and, thinking about how are we going to get all of the diapers that we need and whatever. Like that's the burden of that mostly falls on the mom. So I think they're just not thinking of it that way. Um, but it's always a man who wants to talk about this.
Always.
Oh my God.
Always. Well,
Um,
maybe he'll call back. Maybe he'll listen to this and have a change of mind or have some other thoughts to add in. I
yeah.
like these, and I actually like when we've had people call back in and we've continued the conversation because I think we get like further into it, and I think that's cool. So,
hmm
anyways, that's my thought. Shall we get to these last two
Um,
callers before?
Yeah, yeah, let's do it. All right, do you have a preference of which one we take first?
No, whatever you think.
Okay, I'm gonna pull in Rory, who's calling in from New Zealand. Oh my gosh, my fiance just got to Auckland today.
Oh, no way.
Yes, and
Hello, am I on?
Rory,
Yeah.
you are
Yes, am I
Rory.
on? Oh,
You are.
hello.
How is it living in on February 4th? Because it's already tomorrow where you where you
It
are.
is. It is. I was a little bit worried in case you asked me whether I've been drinking or not because I'll get the day completely wrong. Yeah, we're a day ahead over here, but
Oh
um,
my gosh.
all right. Yeah, a slight delay, but I think I can cope. I'll just keep sort of just talking to you, ignore the screen possibly. But how are you?
We're all right. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I managed to finish slightly early. I did actually tune in, I think, the first show last week, and I sent a message from New Zealand, and I thought, like, when I came in, I just flicked it on, and quite pleased that actually people were taking this over here. Again, so I thought I'd tune in.
Yay!
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Well, I'm so glad you called. And what did you want to talk about today? I know that it has stuff to do with sex work, and I'm so interested.
It is. You've just had a long conversation, actually, just about abortion, which I'm not going to dwell into. But in New Zealand, we, I don't know if it's the word is legalized, but decriminalized abortion. But we also decriminalized prostitution quite a long while ago, around about 20 or so years ago. And it's fairly unusual. I think there's some places in Australia have done the same thing, but it's not the same as legalizing prostitution. But because with legalizing, you need a license, and that means that you've got like a two-tier system where you've got some people who are still illegally involved in the sex work and some who aren't. But when you do decriminalizing, basically it just says there's no punitive measures at all against people who are involved in sex work. Ethically, I've got family members, without going too personal on it, but I had a family member who was murdered as a sex worker. And I think ethically, just for the practical safety of it, having people being legally protected is a good thing. So ethically, I think that's fine. But we're having a conversation about purity culture. And if you were to ask somebody who's very much for purity culture, religious reasons, whatever, they basically say sex work is bad. You're either married and you have sex or you don't. And so sex work, which obviously is going to, I think almost 100% certainly be involved extramarital sort of relationships, that's automatically immoral. But I've met plenty of people who are not necessarily religious, but just think prostitution is immoral regardless. And I think even using the word prostitution as opposed to sex work is actually a controversy in itself. Some people, will not use the word prostitution because the word is so emotive in itself. I don't know necessarily where I would stand morally. I understand where I stand ethically. I don't want people to get hurt. But morally, I think it's still predominantly a female-driven industry. Obviously, there's exceptions to that, but I'd say the majority of people who are sex workers are women. And the majority of the clients are men. There's an automatic imbalance when you do that. And is that moral? Is there a moral issue right there to discuss? And yeah, I'll throw it out to you. I've got my own views, but I'm very interested in what your views are.
Mine is really boring because it's basically what I was talking with the other caller about. As per usual, Alyssa's going to have a much more interesting, better answer. I already know this. But I think I couldn't tell you if I think it's moral or not, because I would have to hear each specific issue and I would have to be able to mind read. I'd have to know the exact, what's the power dynamic here? What is this person really truly feeling? Is this because this person grew up this way and has been convinced that, you know what I mean? I would have to know information that I couldn't possibly have access to, which is again why I end up enjoying outsourcing to when I feel like we're protecting people the best and still allowing them to have freedom. So I love decriminalizing sex work. I think that's great. Like you said, ethically. And so because I couldn't possibly know whether I think a circumstance is moral or not unless I know every single little nuanced detail, and then I'd have to be in their brain, and it's just not possible. So that's my answer is boring. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
it's a good answer. Yep.
I feel similarly. I am of the opinion, as long as the sex is consensual and fun for everyone involved, I don't really give a crap what you do. But from a moral standpoint, I feel similarly. I think that there's a lot of when there are people who are actually, like our very first caller today. Oh my gosh, I forget her name already. But she was talking about purity culture, and she's not a theist, and it seems like she sort of was a little more moderate, but there are people who are liberal too who still can't really get on board with the sex work stuff, like you described, that you have some friends who feel that way too. And I think that it really is just deeply programmed purity culture stuff. I think that it lives deep. It's like a little fucking worm in our brain that tells us that there is an ethical, moral value to sex and sexuality, when in reality it's you giving getting a massage, like a regular massage, is you using your body to make another person's body feel good. And that also can be viewed ethically and morally not or I don't know. When I think about that, it's that's also physical touch, and that's totally fine. When we're doing things that are sex related, then we have a whole different perspective on it. And I think that there is space for it to be totally fine and a neutral event. We as humans add all of this other emotion and judgment to it that make it not so.
Yeah, very good answers. I may end up being really boring at this point because I haven't really got a contentious point to throw. But I mean, it's just something I know. In a way, we make our own morality unless somebody tells you what your morality is, which you get with purity culture, I think. But if you are basically not saying I'm following that, or you don't follow a religious doctrine and you start having to make up your own mind. I mean, I just wonder, if people know somebody's in sex work, or if somebody knows somebody who's a client of sex work, does it immediately lower their social value in people's minds? I mean, if you take it on a personal level. I think it does, bluntly. I think actually basically as soon as that comes into any conversational point, you basically are going to have people making a moral decision about those people. And I don't know where it sort of leads to society. Like I say, ethically, I think it's the right way to go about things. I think most violence against women and most violence against people are done so when the law is basically already compromised in some way. And I think that's what you get if you have a legalized prostitution system or it's just illegal straight up. Whereas if it's just decriminalized, at least then the police can take their measures. But I think it's by its nature a clandestine thing, and so people are always just going to have a judgment call regardless. And I think because of that, it's very hard to make any sort of actual progress with the ethical elements of trying to make it safe.
Yeah.
I know the stigma. Yeah, talk about it.
Yeah, no, I agree. The stigma is like one of the biggest things that we're up against. That's why I appreciate Alyssa so much, because she works so hard to reduce the negative stigma surrounding all things sexuality, and which is like when you think about it, that's one of the most like personal, like that really shouldn't be anybody else's business, like we say, when it's consensual, when it's, when we're not harming others. And like that's the thing that people love to judge the most, like you just said. Like, you're right. Unfortunately, there is a huge negative connotation with sex work, and we're working to try to reduce that. That's what we don't think is right, because like you said, that can impede really good changes in law that actually protects women and protects people in general. So yeah, I think we're just in agreement.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I haven't had to say anything controversial, and I'm hoping I haven't read the comments, but I hope I haven't made a dick out of myself by saying anything.
No.
Don't worry about the comments anyways. Not that I don't love you guys in the comments. But no, I think this is I think it's important to talk about, and I appreciate you calling about that.
Thank you very much. Have a good rest of the day.
Thanks so much,
Rory. You too.
Anytime.
Okay.
Bye.
Cute.
A nice palate cleanser after some of these.
I know, and I think our last call will also be like a palate cleanser of sorts too.
Nice.
And then we'll get to our super chats. So if you want to send in your super chats, get them in under the wire, now would be the time to do it. And then we'll read them all before we send you off to the show that Jimmy is going to do directly after hours. So if you need more company this evening, you have plenty. All right, let's bring in Kat, who is calling from Pennsylvania. Hello, Kat.
Hi. Oh my gosh. I am so honored to talk to both of you. Promise and Alyssa, I just have to say that you both are incredible and beautiful humans, first and foremost. And everyone on the line, that is a blanket statement.
Oh, thanks, Kat.
Thank you.
Thanks for waiting so long.
Yes.
And you're our last call. You're our last call for
God.
the night. You end the show in such a beautiful way.
No, like I would wait forever to talk to you ladies. So thank you.
Thanks for being patient.
No, listen, of course, there's so many things I could go down the rabbit hole on, as I'm sure you guys feel the same way. But let me condense this to why I called, because I'm so curious about your perspective, your advice, and just like how you, especially you, Promise, because I know you came from the fundamentalist background of having to work your way through the wormhole, if you will, of deconstructing from the purity culture. It's so interesting to me because so much of my life, it was like I stood on the pride of quote unquote being pure. And now I look back on it and I'm like, God, like that robs me of my life. Not completely. Let me be clear, not completely. You know, there's so many stories to be told, but like that robs me of so much experience. And Alyssa, where I really, really would love to hear your experience is like I've been so fearful to even tap into that side of me. So, like, please just tell me like you're whispering, please.
My best advice that I think I have to give on this is to look for, so you're doing a good job already by asking Alyssa a question, to go to experts that actually didn't grow up the way that you and I did. Because I was talking to a friend about this year. He was reaching out to me and saying he was just like kind of over, he's like, I keep watching, so-and-so's podcast or this and that, and they're great people, but they're like ex-evangelicals and deconstructed people. And he's like, and they do such a good job talking about how awful purity culture is. But then it's like, now what? Like, now what do I do? Like, this is okay, great. I feel validated, but like, what's next? And that's why we have to look to experts that didn't experience this, that are like I look up to Alyssa and her views on sexuality. Like, I want to be like her. I want to take her brain and put it over mine when it comes to all of this. Because that to me would be like being a more healed version of myself. And so that's why I want, like, I defer to people like that, like Alyssa and their expertise, because it's like picking a role model. I'm picking like a philosophical role model or an expert in that area. So my advice to you would be to go find like literally sexperts and people that like books on this and all of that by people that did not grow up like us, because you already can find all of that. Like, I can sit here and tell you, yes, I hated that part. Yes, it feels crazy. Yes, I still think of myself as like my part of my identity as this like girl that saved herself for marriage. Meanwhile, I actually have had plenty of sexual experiences now because I changed my mind and I got out of all of that. But I'm still so attached to that part of myself that I like view myself that way. So my advice is, don't listen to people like me about things like this. Listen to experts. So anyways, Alyssa, here's your expert advice. Ready, go.
Well, first of all, that's really nice. Thank you. And when I actually, as you were saying that, I was thinking about how part of what drew me to doing this kind of work was I started working for a woman who was a sex coach and a sex educator, and I was learning about things for like the first time at 27, and I was like, how the fuck did I go, like, how do we just not learn any of this? And she was so sex positive, and I grew up in like a garden variety Catholic home. It wasn't like a fundamentalist house, but my parents were a little more on like the conservative side, where like my mom in particular was kind of tough on me. Like, I will never forget when I was like 16, I came home one day and she was in my room with my aunt, and my mother is sobbing because she thought I lost my virginity and didn't tell her about it, that I was doing all of it, like whatever. And she does not, by the way, doesn't remember this. I'm like, sure you don't. Of course, that's convenient. But she was freaking out. And I was like, I hadn't at that time, but I was like, even if I had, why is this the reaction that you're having? Oh my God. Like, it was just so she grew up with a lot of purity culture that sort of like trickled down to me. And also, I think just like living in the US, we're exposed to a lot more purity culture than we think we are. But I think so really, to Promise's point, what made a big difference for me was hearing other people talk about sex and sexuality in such a neutral way, and seeing them do that and experience safe, happy, healthy relationships. And it almost like signaled to my brain and my body, like, oh, this is possible. Like, I'm watching somebody do this. This is totally possible. And then what ends up happening is if you start looking into like Sex with Emily is great. She's a sex therapist. Dan Savage, they have really great podcasts. Sex with Emily and Dan Savage. His is called The Love Cast, I think. They have been in the sex like education industries forever. And so when you hear people like that who have been in these industries for so long, they talk about the things that would make so many people like giggle because they're uncomfortable. They're just letting it all fly. They're talking about because after a while you become so like desensitized to it, and you give yourself the license to enjoy, the fun, funky things we get to do with our lives and our relationships and with our partners, and then it like neutralizes for you. So I think Promise is right. find some people who are making content about sex and sexuality and listen to their podcasts or follow them on social media and just expose yourself to some of it, because I feel like that was a very healing part of it for me as well, just to hear people talk so casually. Like there are times where I'll listen to um Dan Savage's podcast, and he'll take a question from somebody who's like, I want to plan an orgy this weekend, but I'm not really sure about how I should approach this and blah blah blah. And you're listening to it and you're like, this is so far out of like the realm of what I'm doing in my life. And he's
Yes.
talking about it
Yes.
and he's so neutral and so chill that after a while it almost like signals to your nervous system that like, oh, like why am I freaking out about this actually? Because really, like, as long as I said this I think a couple times on this show today, as long as whatever is happening sexually is consensual and feels good for both people or any of the people that are involved, it's totally fine. Like truly, we made up that there's all this like judgment around sex and sexuality. Like humans fully made that up. The animal kingdom fucks. They don't care. Why do we
Yeah.
care? We literally made it
Well,
up.
yes, and and I'm gonna direct a question to Promise really quick, just because I'm super, super curious, based on my own experience. Promise, I'm really curious from your perspective. When did you even encounter the concept of trans people? And I only ask that because, like, I was not even made aware of such a concept until, guys, I might have been in my 30s, and that's just it's hard to explain to other people how, like, encaved, I guess is the word you can say, when you grew up with this mindset. And like, I went to college to be a missionary, so like, Eve, I'm just really, really, I'm sorry, Promise, I'm just also used to calling you Eve. Promise,
No,
I'm
you're
super
okay.
curious.
I don't remember. I do know, like, I didn't even know what queer or gay or any of that was until my teens. I was lucky in that I had cousins that were constantly like telling me things that I wasn't supposed to know about. They went to
Mhm.
public school, and so but I was definitely like restricted in I was homeschooled. I wasn't allowed to watch a lot of stuff, but I was also extremely curious, and we lived in a big city too, so like I was around other people. I saw people where I was like, oh, they're expressing themselves in a way that I haven't seen another person express themselves, having questions and stuff. So I don't recall like any of that. Honestly, what happened for me is I started just having friends that were gay or trans, and they explained these things to me, and luckily my views on all of that, and because I'm also not straight, so like I already had to like think about some of that stuff myself and had been for years. But what like while I was having these experiences of like confronting, how I felt, and then like becoming friends with people that were queer, and hearing from them what that meant, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, why should I have a problem with that? And so my views, that's what I was trying, sorry, I'm losing my point. My views progressed before I even deconstructed. In fact, that was a big part of why I had to examine my faith and my closed-mindedness, because my mind actually wasn't closed. I was like interested and accepting of people before I was allowed to be. You know what I mean? So I my my capacity to love people expanded beyond my religion, and so I had to examine that and be like, wait, why am I more accepting and loving than my religion? So for me, like, I don't have some story of where I didn't know about that, because I did. I started meeting new people, and I started, to me, that's all any of this is. It's people, it's humans. And it's like, do we love our fellow humans or not? Do we accept them? Do we want them to have freedom and autonomy or not? And that's what it kind of came down to for me. And then I deconstructed from there.
So, yeah, absolutely. And can I just like make a comment on that? I feel like that was me too, because I struggled with the concept of quote unquote Jesus is love, right? Like Jesus is supposed to be this all encompassing, like he should be the all and everything of what love should represent. And when I look around and take an inventory, if you will, of what is happening within the Christian world, it's so incredibly frustrating and demoralizing. And I just don't understand that if like yourself and like myself, if we look at Jesus as our compass, so to say, how in the world can you be so against loving others to the point of you can rationalize killing? What Bible did you read? Like literally that's my reaction to that. And sorry to like go on a tangent there, but I guess it's just I'm really processing all of this because I'm having a hard time with Christianity and what I was raised with, because I know for a fact what you and I were raised with was this overzealous message of you're supposed to like love others. Like that was your entire mission. And I guess I'm learning how to deconstruct that. Not the love part. Don't get me wrong. Not loving others, but like deconstructing the flip side of that. Of I feel like now when I look at it from an outside perspective, it's love others that are like us. And that was not the message I was taught. I don't know, like, Promise,
Yeah,
do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I think what I've learned is that, yes, we were taught, because that was a huge thing for me, like, be loving to others. Jesus is love and, smiling Jesus and all of this. And that was just a cover for the actual agenda. And they redefined love to not be love. So for me, a big part of, quote, deconstruction was figuring out, no, that actually is a value of mine to love others. But what does that actually mean? And what does that look like? And one of the first things I had to deconstruct was this idea, the golden rule, which is do unto others as you would have them do to you. So treat people how you would want to be treated. Well, that's not actually loving. If I actually want to love somebody well, then I'm going to treat them how they want to be treated, because we're not all the same. We don't all want to be treated that way. So I think that's a big thing for you to examine and look at, is like, what does it look like for me? Like, what do I actually think it means to love other people well? That's what we were not taught. We were taught to love people, and then we were told, and that means telling them they're going to hell if they like to kiss girls and they're a girl too, So that's where everything went haywire, is a lot of things were taught to us and then redefined to be awful.
Yes. And that's why I think the work that both you and Alyssa do is, let me echo this as loud as I can, critical to the world, because people like me truly want to do our best in this life. However, the way we were raised, we were misdirected. Like we were lost in what we thought was the truth, so to speak. And I think of the previous callers, and I don't want to hash out, because again, they're not here to have that conversation. But my point is, coming from somebody who was adopted, let me be clear, someone who was adopted, women should have free choice of their bodies, because the moment you try to legalize morality is the moment freedom is completely lost and there can be no love. That's just my thought. But I know you guys have a hard stop, so I don't want to keep you, but I can't tell you how honored I am to talk to both of you. I appreciate you. I follow both of you on Instagram. You guys are amazing.
Oh, Kat.
And I don't know. Just thank you for taking my call, because I was so nervous. This is my first time calling in. I've been watching the line for years.
Aww.
But
Well, thanks for
But
calling. You can call anytime. This was great.
You're
Love
making
this conversation.
You're making us cry.
thank you. Thank you.
Thanks so much,
Thank
Kat.
Thank you. Love you both. Thank you so much.
Oh,
We
we
wish
love you.
We
all the
love
best
you.
life.
Have a great evening.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay.
So sweet.
That
I
was
should have
so
said this on the call.
nice.
So proud of Kat and people like Kat that confront the ways that we all that we grew up in that culture. I don't even know what Kat's story is, but she probably had her own stuff that I couldn't even understand because it's so what I've learned about religious trauma is it is so unique to that individual and we never know what somebody's gone through. So proud of you, Kat, for being where you're at today to like call in and ask questions about stuff like this.
Yeah. And it is, I know that like maybe this sounds a little like self-involved, but it is really nice when people who appreciate like the work that we do, not because they want to debate with us, not because they want to like hear the rage baity stuff, but because it actually makes an impact for them to hear like what we have to say. That is the reason why I love doing this show. It's for people like Kat. And like when I've had to in the rare moments where I've had to like defend this making this kind of content where like, sometimes you get the calls like Cortez where it's like this guy's drunk off his ass. This conversation is like it's not going to mean anything. Like, but in reality the reason we do it is for the people who are like Kat who need to hear people who have had either the same experience as her or haven't and want to be in her corner. And like that's the reason. That's the reason why this stuff is really special.
Well said. Yes. Love
Thanks
it.
for calling. You made our day.
Yes.
That was really, really nice. Anyways, all right, let's get to our super chats. And yeah, and then we're all being sent to Jimmy's show. So $5 Canadian from Quantum Chaos. Can I get a fuck ice and also welcome back promise? Fuck ice.
It's a great sentence
welcome
right
back
there.
promise.
Yes. Thanks, guys. Thanks so much. 10 pounds from Herbie Shine 1312. Hurrah! It's true. That's promise was Eve. That's great. Thanks so much, Herbie.
$5 from Quantum Chaos. I support a women's right to Tuesday.
That's really good.
A women's right to Tuesday.
That's a good one.
That's good.
$20 from Bobby Kinniston 7240. Double bubble, what a blow. Orbit and Bazooka Joe. Extra Trident bubble tape. Icebreaker Arctic grape. Alert gum caffeine. Nicorette nicotine. Beam and clove and blackjack. Promise good to see you back. We didn't chew the gum. That was wow. I think what helped is that I only stumbled on one part, and what helped is that I didn't skim it before. I just committed
You just went
and
for
I
it.
just went for it.
Okay,
I'm proud of both of us. I'm proud of Bobby. I'm proud of me. Good teamwork.
I'm so proud of you because when we would have to like read things for like even the podcast or whatever, you'd get like so stressed about it. That was beautiful. Very well done.
It is stressful. I think I'm so jet lagged right now that I'm just like, just do the thing. So I'm not overthinking it. That's great.
I love it. $5 from Alyssa Nguyen. For you, it was the most frightening driving on the most crowded freeways you've ever seen. For me, it was Tuesday. Hashtag SoCal traffic. Hashtag 4:05 at 4 p.m. Yeah.
That used to be my life. That's wild. $5 from Joshua Everett. Remember, everyone, pre-orders for Gospel of Lies by our very own Promise are available online and through your local booksellers, shipping in May. Thank you. Yes, that is true. And I'm so excited about it. And on that note, I just read Alyssa wrote like the most incredible blurb that made me cry. I didn't even get to text you about it yet because I was like on the plane when I was going through this email. And I made Yuka take his headphones off and read it too. I'm like, this is just like if all I did was write the book and Alyssa liked it, done. Great. That makes me a bestseller right there. So, but
Promise, it was so good. The amount of times that I was reading it and I was like, I can't believe this shit. I can't believe the things that like, and it's not like there are stories of your life experience, but a lot of it is just like when you have this conversation with people who are theists, like this is a way that you can like either have the conversation with them or like
Yeah.
how you can have your shift in perspective and understand like the truth of whatever. But like even so, the little moments that were like shining through the cracks of like what your life experience was, I was like, this is like
I
holy
forget
shit,
how
dude.
weird and insane it is until I talk to normal people like you and my husband, and I'm like, yeah, I guess that
No,
was insane, wasn't it?
no, I know. And one of my favorite like moments I've had with you recently is we were talking about me and Kevin were talking about hanging out with you and Yuka, and he was like, I just feel like she's so normal. I want to like I feel like we're friends already and I feel like she's just so normal. And for so many people they would hear that and be like normal. And you were like that's all I've ever wanted to be.
I wanted to cry. I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever heard to have somebody tell me I'm normal. So
It was
yeah.
so sweet and so funny.
But
Oh my
thanks
God.
for reading it, and I'm so excited for the rest of you to read it. It is available for pre-order, and actually, I just got my copy in the mail today. I haven't opened it yet. I'm going to make a video right after this of me opening it and seeing for the very first time the first book
Your
I
book.
ever got published. And so, anyways, very excited. Thank you guys for all
Oh
the
my
support. I would
God.
not have been able to write this book if it weren't for the conversations that we have over here on the show and all of that. And then Alyssa's support. She's just the best ever.
I
So
love you. I'm so happy for you.
thank you. Thanks.
$5 from Aaliyah Shauna Silverbow. Promise. Welcome back. Hashtag Buckeyes.
Thank you. 5 pounds for Mystic Mind Analysis. I won't be talking much because I'm not well mentally, but I do want to say it's lovely to see Promise back. How do you cope with the cold of Finland? Sorry you're not feeling well. You know what? Honestly, the cold has not been that bad in Finland for me because I learned that there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothes. So I got like long wool underwear to wear under everything. I got a really good coat, and I don't know, it just hasn't bothered me. And I grew up in Atlanta, so I'm used to like not cold, but I've loved it. It's not been bad. Maybe ask me again in a few winters and I might be like,
Yeah.
fuck this shit. But right now,
So
it's
far,
been
so
nice.
good. $6.66. Nice. From Poohead 60. Nice.
Double nice.
I usually do not get to watch live, but tonight I did, and I see Promise. It's nice to have the
Aw.
band back together. Fuck ice. Oh,
I love all of these. Thanks, guys.
I love the band is back together. It's so cute.
The best.
So fun.
$5 from Joshua Everett. Today's show snack, sugar cookie flavored ice cream mochi. Yum. That does sound really good.
I
That
saw that
sounds
in the
very
chat and I was like,
nice.
where did you get that? And unfortunately, a local place. I want it. That
Of
sounds
course.
so good.
It's ice cream with mochi is tough because you start to eat it and then the ice cream warms up and melts and then you just have a mouth of really cold mochi against your teeth.
Yes,
I love
this is
it. I
true.
love it. I don't know. It's just the combination of texture. I just love it. It's so good. $5 from the Fuzzy Logic. So great to see Promise on a Tuesday again. See you next Tuesday. Would make a great mug, maybe with chewed gum logo on the other side. Hashtag Team Lux. Cute.
We gotta make this. We gotta make this merch happen.
I also, okay, and like you guys can tell me what you think. I like merch that doesn't look like merch. So like if I were to design merch with no other design input, it would literally just say in very simple font, see you next Tuesday. And that would
That's
be
how I
it.
am too. Yeah.
You know? But like
We
but
could
some
make
people
two.
really
We could
like
make a double version. We could have like
yeah,
the
some people really like
minimalist
a
one and then
logo and yeah, and they
yeah.
like color and stuff and I'm like the Grinch with stuff like that, but is this you? I think it's
$5.
you.
I think so. $5 from Meg801 says she is so special and sacred, but means only her innocence is so sacred. Why isn't a woman's personal choices just as sacred if she is sacred? Yeah, good point. I'm assuming this was about the first call. We probably have to read
Well
faster.
said. Well said. $5 from Glam Pixie. Purity culture supports the patriarchy. You're helping the patriarchy if you're pushing purity culture. Yes. Exactly that.
100%. £5 from Jessica 87. Promise.
Jessica.
Hauska Tavata. I'm still learning how to pronounce these.
Mhm.
And the A's get me every time because I can't remember if it's the like A or A and all of that. I'm moving to Finland to live with my amazing Finnish fiance. Any advice for me moving? Any help would be great. Moikka. keep working on your finish. You're already better than me, so great. That's so cool that you're moving to Finland. Like it's so funny now having anything to do with Finland because you become one of those people that's like, oh, Finland mentioned because it's such a small country and it's like so random. So when I hear that somebody's going there, any advice for moving? You're just gonna have the best time. There's nothing like I think you're gonna love it there. I think what I wish I would have done, but I didn't really know that we were like moving, and then it just happened, and then we never came back. I wish I would have changed my expectations on how I thought things were gonna go with people back home because the time difference and just like the change of everything, like when you move away from everyone, it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind for a lot of people. And that was hard for me at first because I was like, wow, these people that I used to talk to all the time or keep in touch with, it's just not happening anymore. And I probably should have come up with a plan to, which now I'm working on, to like better facilitate my friendships and relationships with family and stuff back at home because that's one of the differences. There's no like you don't need advice for being in Finland. Like enjoy it. Welcome to like the best place ever. Get a bus pass, get a train pass, go have the best time of your life. But I think more about how you process like the move itself and how you're going to handle this time difference and keeping relationship with the people that are important to you. I would be intentional about that because I wish I had been more intentional about that before.
Good advice. $5 from Lil Eepy Girl. That's me right now. Lil Eepy Girl. I'm going to sleep with I'm going to sleep with 10 people. I'll gladly run with that with what the hosts say, even if that's not what they said. Sorry, Rochelle. You could sleep. You know what always makes me laugh about that whole thing? You could just lie. And
Right.
no one would know the difference.
Yeah.
So why does it
Exactly.
matter? It doesn't. Trick question. It doesn't.
Yep. $5 from Malia Shauna. What do you call a woman who has a lot of sex? Her name. Yep. Hashtag not a joke. Fuck ice. Yep. Exactly.
Well done. Am I very laggy all of a sudden?
You're a little laggy.
The hell? $4.99 from John and Silver Dong. Hilarious. W Steam support. Y'all's channel needs hype trains. W the line, W aunties, and W non-gendered soldiers. Hey,
Yes.
I love it. It's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
$10 from Meg. The moment you stop allowing other people's opinions and reactions of you and your choices will be the moment you feel a huge amount of stress disappear. It's incredibly validating. Yes.
Yeah.
I think that is like so much of, especially I feel like once you hit your 30s, there's like all of a sudden you just stop giving a shit and it's so freeing. And I'm like, God, I wish I'd started doing that earlier. So now I'm trying to do it earlier about other things that I know in my 40s I'm going to be like, oh, I shouldn't have given a shit.
Yeah, I agree so much. It's very freeing. $49.99 from
thank
Infidel. 3476. Thank you, Chewed Gum, for helping me be a little less old me.
Oh,
thank you. That's
thanks so much.
really
Thanks for
nice.
the support. I always love your stuff on Threads too. I think you're the same Infidel. $5 from Lord Ben. A super chat for Donald Trump's teeny tiny funny little baby mushroom. Frankly, he wants to mash the mushroom. He wants to mash the mushroom, frankly. That would have been way better if Jimmy was reading it, but
yeah. Oh my gosh. $5 from Sarah Talks Pod. Hi, Sarah. Promise, welcome back. Your girl graduated with her master's in social media marketing.
Yes. Let me make enough money so I can hire you because I need help. $5 from Moira Bannister. Yay for Promise and Alyssa, the OGs. Oh, yay. Thanks, Moira.
Hey, Moira. $5 from Alice in Dr. Pepper. Cortez, did you forget to feed the mouse that powers the wheel that is your brain? Or did it form a union and is picketing outside right now? That's great. I love it. That's awesome. Oh my gosh.
$5 from Joshua Everett. You ever listen to a person and think, this person's mirror universe opposite would be super cool and fun? Zetrock would be a fun guy.
Yeah.
Or Cortez, Zetrock. That's really good.
Yeah, it was great. $10 from Lord Ben 6584. When MAGA sends its people, they're not sending their best, they're not sending their brightest, they're sending Cortez. He's drunk, he's high, but some, I assume, are good people. Listen, I don't know. Recently, I've started to feel like if you are still a MAGA supporter, you're either like a moron or you're a bad person. But I'm trying to still have some grace, but it's not
Usually
working so
one
good.
leading into the other.
Right.
$10 from Chase Flynn. Am I saying that right? Do you think Cortez knows about lesbians? Nobody told my girlfriend and I that we aren't supposed to be paying bills. That's so good.
I saw that in the chat. I was dying. I was like,
That's
that is
really
so
good.
good. That's so good. £5 from Willow's Worldview. Help, I've been barricaded in my house for the last 6 years because no man has taken all this trash out. Someone call Cortez. I know. I'm like,
You
what the
guys
fuck
are
are you
so
talking
funny.
about? Oh my God. Crazy.
That's
Crazy,
amazing.
crazy.
$10 from Puriform 42. I am pretty sure Cortez is #Bandrew's father. It just tracks. She taught Andrew everything she knows. That's really good.
Oh my God. Truly.
Uh,
She really has. She, her, Cortez. $5 from Aaliyah Shauna Silverbow. Instead of paying women the same as men, pay men the same as women and see how angry they get. #fuck guys.
Great idea.
I've never phrased it that way, and now I will. That's so good.
That's really
so
good. $5 from Aaliyah Shauna Silverbow. Opinions on abortions are kind of like nipples. Everyone has them, but women's are a little bit more relevant while all you ever see are men's. That's really good.
That's awesome. That's great. $5 from Jamie M9179. Abortion is the termination of a pregnancy, not the termination of a life. Well put. An early induction is an abortion, but so is birth in general. Yeah. Well put. I never thought of it that way.
$5 from the Fuzzy Logic. New Jersey, the armpit of America.
Yeah, they really are not beating those allegations. $5 from Coffee Mom. #team mandatory vasectomy. Make it a crime to cause an unwanted pregnancy, and bam, no more unnecessary abortions. Tim can be first in line. Yeah, we haven't given them the vasectomy
Alyssa didn't even
hypothetical
pull
in a
that one
while.
out yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
$5 from Jamie M. We just call or birth to finish my last super. Oh, to finish the last one. Got it. Yes.
I think just call it birth is a typo.
That makes more sense even. Thank you, Jamie.
$5 from Indentured Cervix. Incredible.
Incredible.
Oh my God. As a nurse, I can tell you if a doctor kills a viable baby, they could face murder charges. Late-term abortions are all for medical reasons. Exactly.
$9.99 from Jeffro23. Imagine how awful it would be to be Cortez or Tim's female. Cortez would be impossible to understand / drunk, and Tim would want to control everything you think or do based on his own moral compass. Wonderfully summarized.
Right. God. $4.99 from John and Silverdong. Sex workers are workers. They need labor rights and advocacy. Power to the worker, power to the collective. Period. I know. If we could just get if we could just get those things organized, like actual unionizing labor rights for sex workers, it could be a completely different situation. And it's always the people who who will hire a sex worker who don't want to give them any sort of protection.
$5 from Sapphic Hazard. Sending love to and from our team working on bingo in the line Discord. Fuck the patriarchy, bingo. #Discord lives matter. I'm so bad at looking at the Discord, guys. I'm so sorry.
Same. But do you know that they're doing bingo?
No.
Have you seen
now
this
I
yet?
know. No, that's exciting.
In the chat, when they have something that's a bingo square for them, they'll type out like whatever it is and a white circle, which means it's on the bingo card. So it'll be on the bingo card like if they see an animal or if we have to mute a caller. It's so funny, and I enjoy seeing it in the chat so much because I'm like, it's funny for me to see the things that they put on the bingo card. It's hilarious.
Okay, I have to go. Now I'm going to pay attention.
Yeah, you gotta look.
Amazing.
It's so funny. $10 from Michael Do 7904. This is why I loved Chewed Gum from the start. How supportive Promise and Alyssa are for each other from day one. It's been fun to see two people who had never met become friends through this show. We still have never met.
We still haven't met, which is insane.
We still have not met.
You're
like
one of
crazy.
a very small group of people that I would like involve in any part of my life. I would like
same
like give my firstborn child to for that would be actually rude, I think. But you know what I mean? Like I would trust you with my life kind of thing. And yet we still haven't met in person. It's crazy.
I know. It's crazy.
You guys should have seen me when I got the text that Alyssa was, I'm assuming, yes, you've posted this, that Alyssa was engaged. You're like flashing your ring anyways.
Yeah.
I was like at some random bar in Copenhagen because I was on a work trip and I'm just like crying and I don't cry. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like, this is the best thing ever. So anyways, you would think, and I like my sister two of my sisters have been engaged and I was like, cool, nice, exciting. And then Alyssa texted and I'm like, this is the best thing ever.
It's just nice to see people. It's nice to be so happy to see other people win that you love so much and to have that reciprocated too. Like, we are so excited to see each other win and it's so nice.
I think it makes it exponential too. Like one of us being excited for the other one, like invites the other one to be that way. And it's just, that's why we should all just love each other, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry, is this one me? Yes.
Yeah.
Lord Ben 6584. Frankly, I've done a better job than any other caller on the line. Better than Cortez, Hussein, Obama. Better than Sleepy Andrew. Frankly, not impressed. Amazing.
That's great. Oh, I love it.
Send some of these to Jimmy on the next show.
Yeah. $5 from Mr. Boricua 10. Welcome in. Promise. Missed you here on Tuesdays. Fuck ICE and purity culture. Good grief, Cortez and Tim. Cortez wasted as all hell. Tim, oof. Yeah. Oh, speaking of purity culture stuff, before I came onto Chewed Gum, I was filming a YouTube video. I was trying to film reacting to Paul and Morgan. Do you know Paul and Morgan?
Unfortunately.
Okay. Their advice was like so boring that I'm going to scrap the entire 45
You're not even
minutes.
Going to react to it. It's not worth it.
I literally was like, the advice that they gave was so boring that I was like, I think people are going to be like, this is going to put everyone to sleep. I was shocked. I thought that they were going to make me more mad and they really kind of didn't. But anyway.
$49.99. You guys are wild tonight. Thank you so much. From Katrina Rich. Hi, this is Kat appreciating you. Oh, Kat. You ladies are truly making a difference this world desperately needs. Thank you again for taking my call. Love you both. What you do and all hosts on the line matters. Hashtag fuck ice. Hashtag Jimmy. Love you. Sorry, not sorry. Oh, thanks for all the kindness. That's so sweet.
Thank you. We love you. That was so nice. You made our day.
Yes.
$10 from Joe White 4564. I love your show, but would love to watch it, but I'm not as resilient as you all are. The assholes exhaust me. Yeah. We got it.
$10 from Alyssa Wen. My favorite quote from the Amazon Prime show, Upload. I'm so ashamed of my job. OMG, you're doing sex work? What? No, sex work isn't shameful. I'm in retail and it's disgusting. That's great. That's really good.
Oh my God. That's
Thanks,
awesome.
Alyssa. Oh, thank you guys so much. This was like the warmest welcome back. And like I said, I'll be back again in a couple of weeks from an undisclosed location. But anyways, I'm not permanently back, but I'm hoping to always pop in when I can.
Yeah. Well, I loved this. This was so nice.
Yes.
And we had such great calls today.
Jimmy's show after. Sorry.
Yeah. Now you guys are being sent off to Jimmy's show. So go watch, enjoy it. And thank you for being here. Thank you, Lux, for producing as always and being our little voice of God producer. It's awesome. Thank you to our patrons. Our screener was Jess today, so thank you so much. And all of our mods in the chat. We love and appreciate you so much. And we'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye, guys.
This is awesome.